October the 2nd, 2023. City Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Villa-Vasquez.
Present.
Commissioner Burbank. Here. Commissioner Caldwell. Here. Commissioner Jody Lee. Commissioner McCool.
Here.
Vice Mayor Bradford.
Present.
Mayor Villa.
Present. This time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Vice Mayor Bradford for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
May we all rise and take off your lids if needed? I'm going to have Pastor William Bradley from New Hope Church. He's going to come up and give our invocation. Thank you, Pastor.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your goodness and your mercy, Lord. And we ask your blessing to be upon our meeting tonight, Lord. We ask that you bless our mayor, our city commissioners. Lord, we ask that you bless our city staff of every level. And dear Lord, we ask that you bless the citizens of Deltona. Lord, as we come tonight in this meeting, we're asking for your guidance, your wisdom, your peace. And as we begin this meeting, and Lord, help us to engage in meaningful discussions that promotes peace and progress. And Lord, we pray that you bless tonight's agenda, you bless the participants, and we pray that things be done decently in order. And Lord, as we leave this place tonight, we pray that we go in your peace and just continue to bless us with your peace, your power, your provision, and your protection. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
This time, we're going to move forward with the approval of minutes and agenda. Approval of minutes of the regular commission meeting of September 18th, 2023 as presented.
So moved.
So moved by Vice Mayor Bradford. Second. Second by Commissioner Villa-Vasquez. Can we please vote? Motion passes 6-0. This time, we're going to move forward with presentation and awards and reports, and we're going to start with our Superstar Student of the Month certificates. If I can please ask the commission to please meet me on the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anna Elaine. Deltona Lakes Elementary, 5th grade. Talia Alvarez, Discovery Elementary, 5th grade. Dustin Hill, Forest Lake Elementary, 3rd grade. Chloe Pabon, Pride Elementary, 3rd grade. Elementary, third grade. Rebecca Lohr. Timbergrass Elementary, fifth grade. Sienna Johnson. Volusia Pines Elementary, fifth grade. Nariah Atkins. Deltona Middle, eighth grade. Memphis Derby. Galaxy Middle, eighth grade.
There's a motion here to close.
Walter Hardy. Heritage Middle, eighth grade. Ariana Valesque Otero. Deltona High, 12th grade. That's it.
This time, we're going to read the Fire Prevention Proclamation Week. If I can have Commissioner Avila Vasquez please come to the front.
Or go behind us. Is there any more up there that we should Thank you, students. Thank you, Superstar. It's right there. Is this first responders? I don't think it should. They were on. What's our calendar?
They're tired.
Do we still have calendars left? I think so.
Okay, I'm probably going to need you guys after running up those stairs. So this is for Fire Prevention Week, and in honor of that, we are presenting the proclamation. Whereas the city of Deltona, Florida is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Deltona. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire. And whereas home fires killed more than 2,800 people in the United States in 2021, according to the National Fire Prevention Association, and fire departments in the United States reported to 338,000 home fires. And whereas cooking is the leading cause of home fires in the United States, and fire departments responded to more than 166,400 annually between 2016 and 2020. And whereas 2 of every 5 home fires start in the kitchen, with 31% of these fires resulting from unattended cooking. And whereas more than half of reported non-fatal home cooking fire injuries occur when the victims try to fight the fire themselves. And whereas Deltona residents should turn pot handles towards the back of the stove, always keeping a lid nearby when cooking. Keep a 3-foot kid-free zone around the stove, oven, and other things that could get hot. Watch what they heat and set a timer to remind them that they are cooking. And whereas residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires almost in half. Sorry. Gave me the longest one, huh? And whereas Deltona first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas Deltona residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas the 2023 Fire Prevention Week theme, Cooking Safety Starts With You, Pay attention to fire prevention, effectively serves to remind us to stay alert, use caution when cooking to reduce the risk of kitchen fires. Now, therefore, we, the mayor and the city commissioners of Deltona, Florida, do hereby proclaim the week of October 8 through the 14th, 2023 as Fire Prevention Week throughout this state, and urge all the people of Deltona to check their kitchens for fire hazards, use safe cooking practices, and to support the many public safety activities, efforts of Deltona's fire and emergency services, executed this second day of October 2023.
You're going to mention the calendar?
Oh, yeah.
These ladies are talking about a calendar and they won't stop. Will you say something, please?
Yes, so on Friday, we had the honor to attend a cancer awareness fundraiser that our Commissioner Dana McCool put together. And our fire department modeled for us.
Not us.
I mean, well, they modeled from the bottom down. They did a great job, and so did our sheriff's department. They kept their shirts on, but our fire department was awesome, so we want to thank them for that as well. But we have calendars if you want to buy one.
Yes, we have calendars for sale. Where's they buy the calendar?
There's a link.
VolusiaGunsAndHoses.com. You got to get one. I mean, it's the best way to start off 24.
We're going to move on. So thank you to our firefighters. We're going to move on to proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I'd like to ask Maddie Frias to please come up. Maddie is going to be participating in something that I was actually invited to by in collaboration with the mayor of the city of Orlando as well. But I'd like to have our vice mayor read this. This is a proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So Vice Mayor Bradford.
Let's hope I can read this. Thank you for being here. Whereas 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced some form of physical violence by an intimate partner. In Florida, more than 120,000 cases of domestic violence were reported last year. And whereas approximately 3.3 million and 10 million children are exposed to adult domestic violence each year. And whereas the problem of domestic violence is not confined to any group or groups of people, but crosses all economic, racial, gender, educational, religious, and social barriers and is sustained by social indifference. And whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity due to the systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and/or abuse. And whereas victims should have help to find the compassion, comfort, and healing they need, and domestic abusers should be punished to the full extent of the law. Victims should have access to medical and legal services, counseling, transitional housing, and other supportive services so they can escape the cycle of abuse. And whereas we encourage domestic violence victims and their families to seek assistance from appropriate victim service organizations, including the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE, the Florida Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-500-1119, or the Domestic Abuse Council, Inc., 386-761-3166. And whereas local programs, state coalitions, national organizations, and other agencies nationwide are committed to increasing public awareness of domestic violence and its prevalence and to eliminating it through prevention and education. And whereas the United States President and Congress and other federal agencies are committed to eliminating domestic violence both nationally and internationally. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Commission of Deltona, Florida, do hereby proclaim October 2023 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and encourage all citizens to speak out against domestic violence and support local efforts to assist victims of these crimes in helping the help and healing they need. Executed the 2nd day of October 2023, signed Santiago Villa Jr. Mayor.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
You're hired. Thank you. Here's your filmmaker. Thanks.
Violence is never okay, and I hope that no one is too ashamed to speak up about it. Even if you are a gentleman, you know, guys also go through that, so speak up, it's important. This time I'm going to invite Commissioner Dana McCool to the front. We're going to do proclamation for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Commissioner McCool.
Thank you. She doesn't know I'm going to do this, but I'd like to invite my friend Kelly Simmons up here. Proclamation. Whereas breast cancer is one of the most frequently diagnosed cancers and leading causes of cancer death among women worldwide, and whereas the American Cancer Society estimates that there will be an estimated 297,790 new cases of breast cancer in the United States in 2023, and whereas 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime, and whereas mammograms, regular self-exams, and clinical breast exams are also vital because they help doctors diagnose cancer before it has a chance to spread.
when breast cancer is detected early, treatment is more effective, giving hope to patients and help save lives. And whereas mammograms are the most effective tool in the fight against breast cancer, and where have saved hundreds of thousands of lives in the last 30 years, and whereas since 1989, more than 500,000 breast cancer deaths have been prevented in the United States due to regularly scheduled mammograms, according to the American Cancer Society estimates, and whereas we affirm our commitment to support breast cancer research and to educate all citizens about its risk factors and detection and treatment, now therefore we, the Mayor and the City Commission of Deltona, Florida, in recognition of the importance of the ongoing fight against breast cancer, do hereby proclaim October to be Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I want to, this is very personal for me, that I have had and beaten breast cancer. My friend Kelly is going through right now, and she is a warrior, and this I want to present to you as a fighter for all women battling breast cancer and other cancers from breast cancer. And I would like to say that as of midnight a week ago, that my cancer is heading into remission, and I have a lot to be grateful for. So
All right.
I'm good.
We got one more. We have a proclamation, or sorry, a presentation.
The senator's not here yet. We're waiting, so we're going to get to the next one. It's on the list.
So we're going to go to a presentation by Halifax Urban Ministries, Barracks of Hope Construction. If I can ask the commission to please meet me back at the dais, and then we're going to come back to section E in just a minute.
Oh my God, see the presentation.
Yes.
You're going to do that for me. Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Commission. Thank you for allowing me in your chamber tonight. I'm Stacy Cantu, Daytona Beach Commissioner in Zone 4 in Daytona Beach. I'm here today on behalf of the Barracks of Hope and some of our veterans that are in the audience and all veterans of Volusia County. I come from a family of veterans and law enforcement, a huge family of law enforcement and veterans, and I'm actually here on behalf of my father as well, who was a Marine Corps in Vietnam who did not make it home. Also a son that's 82nd Airborne, Iraq veteran, and I'll talk about him later. Also, I do have a son that is a detective for the Volusia County Sheriff's Department as well. First, I think we're going to have a little video of the Barracks of Hope.
This place saved my life. It literally did. I mean, I don't have enough good to say about it. Well, they literally took me off the streets. I'm a veteran, Army National Guard, roughly 12 years of service time. I found out about this place from a fellow veteran who picked me up off the streets. I was about to be literally under a bridge, and these people, they literally saved my life. I've never been treated any better. The staff here, from Brandy and Norman all the way down to the overnight RAs, Lori, AJ, Matt, every one of them, I don't have enough good to say about this place. I wouldn't even have a place to start. This place saved my life. It literally did. I mean, I don't have enough good to say about it.
I called one of my counselors from the VA, and they were telling me about this place here. And it was like the next day, pretty much, I was here. I've been here now about 3 months, 3.5 months, and it's great. Clean too, very clean. They prepare you for life, you know. This place is, when when you get your apartment, they prepare you for your apartment. Tell you the truth, I don't want to leave.
Okay, a little bit about the Barracks of Hope. It opened at 605 North Seagrave in December of 2018. It provides housing and support for over 70 male and female veterans each year. 80% success rate moving into permanent housing. The average length of stay is 133 days, $400,000 per year to operate. Operation funded through the VA GPD programs and donations. Looking for a better location since 2019, and the Barracks of Hope applied for a VA grant and received $1 million VA grant and a County of Volusia capital grant of $1 million. With COVID and all the construction costs that's went up, actually, in the process of building this, we are about $400,000 we need. Can you move that back? Sorry. Okay. The Barracks of Hope has 20 efficiency apartments, 2 ADA apartments, private restrooms, 2 offices, a laundry room, and a common room. You can go ahead and move forward. I already told them $403,000. What way I'm here today is I'm trying to get each city to sponsor, which we have 16 cities in Volusia County, to sponsor a room, and that's why I'm here. I do have the city of Daytona Beach, which we're asking $25,000. The city of Daytona Beach did $28,000. Port Orange has sponsored a room. I asked for $25,000. They gave me $30,000, and Ormond Beach is committed in sponsoring a room. And I did talk to the Volusia County Sheriff today on the way here. This will actually help our deputies as well if you see a homeless veteran that does need help. And it does not just I'm sorry, I get a little emotional because of my son, but it doesn't just help homeless veterans. My son was hurt in Iraq. He had to have a hip replacement, his whole pelvic reconstructed. So he probably would have been a lifer in the service with a family of 2 kids and a wife. He lived on base. When he got out, I actually experienced PTSD for the first time. And it was pretty hard experiencing that because as a mother and father, we could not help him. So places like this can help them, treat them through that, because when they get out of the service, they have to get back into civilian life, and sometimes it's very hard to get back there. I've had family members that could get back there more easily, but when you come out of the service, when you went in there and after high school and have no career at all, and you have a family, and then when he gets out, his best friend gets out as well, who lived in Orlando, had 2 kids, and shot himself. So right now, the veterans, they pay 100% of your schooling, so you can help get a career, which you're with Daytona State, well, I've been with Daytona State, can help them through that process to help them get a career, get them through this. And so I'm just hoping that you will help support this. And I'm sorry, when I talk about my son, it's very hard. And I would like to call up some of our local commanders around here too. We have Ralph Matar, who's with the Military Order of the Purple Heart, Chapter 316, which I'm a member through my father as well.
Thank you, Stacy. Mr. Mayor, councilmen and women, I just want to relate to you that I've seen this work in action. I had the pleasure of, with a colleague of mine, of going and working over at the Barracks of Hope as a veteran service officer and helping those men and women get their benefits, because they have no transportation, so they couldn't come to my office. So once a month, we'd go over there and help these people out. And I've actually seen from A to Z, to see them go through the whole thing, from getting there, first getting a bicycle, because they don't have any transportation. Some of them were donated. Getting an apartment, getting a job, and getting an apartment. So that all worked, and I saw it all work, and you need to know that. Okay, thank you.
And we don't. The local chapters that I belong to, we actually raise money to help with this, and this, what we're asking is a one-time fee as well. I would like to also call the commander of the Marine Corps League, which I'm also a member of.
Mike Dean, Commandant for 658 Daytona Beach, Captain Tagger Mayberry Detachment. First and foremost, I'm a Gold Star father. I know how this is going to help each and every veteran, not only in Deltona, but throughout Volusia County. Vietnam veterans, if we would have had help when we got out, maybe some of us wouldn't have served time in prisons and jails. But I'm going to read you some statistics here. Out of the 365 days that we spent in country in Vietnam, some of us did 240 to 260 days of consistent combat, nonstop. So these guys that they're wandering around, what these people are doing is amazing, and we need everybody's help. We get these people off the street, get them jobs, and get them careers, and have to be a substantial part of each and every society. Thank you.
I would like to call our Commander Joseph Zelensky, Korean War veteran, 92 years old, still very active, drove himself here.
Thank you, Stacy. Hey, this is something new for me, believe me. I'm not used to speaking before a group of people, especially such prominent people we have here in the city of Daytona, and all of the people we have surrounding us here in this room. But I will say one thing, that, if I do speak, I speak in behalf of all veterans, be it World War II, be it Korean War, there's a few of us around yet, be it Vietnam or any other conflict that we may have going on presently. But our veterans need help. They need help in many different ways. I'm fortunate that the VA does take care of me with my medical needs and my medical expenses. So it's been, I have to say, applause to the VA for what they do. But we have a lot of veterans out there that aren't that fortunate who need help. And the Barracks of Hope is a good place for them to be able to go to. It's another place that they can depend on to do many things for them, depending on what it is. Some things they can't help you with, PTSD, which I suffer with, COPD, I suffer with, and many other things. But I suffer and I push forward. And another 10 years, I'm going to be saying the same thing again, or maybe even 20 years, right? But that's my goal. All I ask for is let us give whatever help we can to the Barracks of Hope. It's a great program. It's needed very much by our veterans, and I'm sure you all would agree with me in that particular sense. So please help us however you can. Thank you.
Thank you. The Barracks of Hope actually works very closely with the VA. I would also like to call Dee Dee Daniels, Rolling Thunders.
Hi, I'm Dee Dee Daniels. I'm the president of Rolling Thunder. I have helped with the Barracks of Hope from the beginning. I saw it when it first started. I saw people go in who are really, really off the street homeless and help them get apartments. I've actually taking things over to their apartments to get them started. And you got to see the joy on their face. You have to see the hope that they got. And this is a very, very good organization. This is really great for them. I know people that have PTSD, and they have overcome it a lot through this organization. So if you could give whatever you can give, it would be appreciated. Thank you.
And I also, first Vice President Richard Switzky. He's with the VVA Chapter 1048, and I'm not sure if a lot of you know the VVA Chapter 1048. We have the second largest Vietnam veterans in Volusia County. Actually, the first is the Villages.
Thank you. Thank you. I just let me get my thoughts together. Good evening, Mayor and Council, and other members of the staff. My name is Richard Switzky. I'm a Vietnam vet. Like Joe, I suffer. But I just want to bring to light what Vietnam veterans do for the Barracks of Hope. All right, just to give you a couple facts, we have served them with over 2,000 pounds of food, collected food, to make sure that they are fed at their Barracks of Hope. Clothing, let me put you in light of this. You heard how they have a 133-day window to get in and be productive at the other end. We provide them with clothing for interviews, job interviews, work clothing. So this is something that we help collect, pay for, and give to the Barracks of Hope. Another thing is bicycles. We know they need transportation. We can't provide cars. Cars need insurance, fuel, maintenance costs, and everything. But we provide bicycles. Our quartermaster just enlightened me. Last year alone, 2022, we gave them 12 bicycles in great shape or new. You know, some are refurbished or new, and we got them to the Barracks of Hope. 2023 in January, we got an immediate call. A gentleman was working, he was on the edge of losing his job, of a patient or a resident of the Barracks of Hope. They stole his bicycle from his work location. We mustered up a bike within 24 hours with a new lock and made sure that he had transportation back and forth again for his duties there and everything. We support this. You know, I'm like everybody else. We see what happens from the beginning to the end of those residents coming in to the point where they're very productive and they move on in life. You know, a lot of us had better lives. We're lucky. But these guys need your help. They need your help. They need your support. And you got to give it to them. Thank you.
Okay, these veterans stood for us. Will you stand by supporting a room? And I have Buck here, James here, that runs the Barracks of Hope, if you have any questions for him.
Vice Mayor Bradford.
Thank you guys very much for all you have done so that we're here today, first and foremost. We would not be here without you guys going out and fighting the battle for us. So thank you very much. Commissioner Cantu, thank you for bringing this to us. Is there an area, now you said you help these individuals get jobs. Is there a place that employers can reach out that are looking for staff? Because that's one of the biggest things I hear right now is, I can't find staff, I can't find staff. So if you got staff, is there a way that we can connect one-on-one?
Buck James from Halifax Urban Ministries. Yes, they can reach out directly to the Barracks of Hope staff, and they will connect up with the veterans that are currently at the facility and so they can reach out at any time. You can call our main number, 386-317-5886, and listen for which option is for the Barracks of Hope. I don't remember the number right off the hand, but there's a voice menu, and just choose the option for the Barracks of Hope. It'll ring to the front desk, and you can leave the information there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And again, thank you guys for being here. And again, Commissioner Cantu, thank you.
We got Commissioner Villa-Vasquez and then Commissioner McCool.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank all of you who served this country. The veteran from Korea, my uncle served in Korea. He was a Borinqueño. First group of Hispanics from Puerto Rico to serve in the Korean War for the United States of America. My husband is also a Vietnam disabled veteran. My son just retired from the Air Force. You're absolutely right. Nobody knows what we, as a family of Vietnam veterans who suffer from PTSD, go through. So thank you so much for being here today.
We have Commissioner McCool, and I believe she's going to bring up a motion at this time.
Commissioner Cantu, thank you for all that you do. Thank you to everyone that came out tonight to talk to us and to tell us about this program. Thank you, Commissioner, for your tireless, and I do mean tireless, effort with our veterans. Anyone that knows you knows what an example you are as how we should purport with our veterans. At this time, I would like to make a motion for the City of Deltona to approve $25,000 to the Barracks of Hope construction.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a motion by Commissioner McCool and a second by by Commissioner Villa-Vasquez. Do we have any public comments? No? Could we please vote? Do you have a comment, public comment?
Thank you. Just real quick, I thank everybody for your service, for whichever conflict you've been in or otherwise. We can't say enough. I just had a couple of questions for the Barracks of Hope. Like, for instance, for those who aren't in and around the Daytona area, let's say they were up in Crescent City, somewhere the odder places in Volusia County, and somebody reaches out to you, how do you get them to the barracks? What kind of arrangements do you make for transportation for those who, let's say, can't ride a bicycle? And how many veterans do you serve that aren't, that are all over Volusia County? Because I think this is a great idea, and I'd love to see it expanded rather than one big area into small, more corners of the county. So but I'm curious about those things and how those work. I'm not saying we shouldn't give money, because it's a wonderful thing. But just keep in mind where our finances are. And there's always, residents out here who don't mind contributing as well. So, thank you. Thank you.
In answer to those questions, we do serve veterans from all corners of Volusia County, and we serve typically in the mid-70s in terms of total numbers each year. And anyone who wants to reach out, again, they can call that number that I read before, 386-317-5886. Wait for the option for the Barracks of Hope, and we will get in touch with that person. If they need transportation, we'll arrange, and we'll go pick them up with one of our vehicles, whatever we need to do. They also can work directly through their VA rep. Sometimes that's the best way, is if they have a connection with their VA rep, to reach out to the VA rep and say that they're interested in being part of the Barracks of Hope.
Thank you so much. At this time, can we please vote?
And just to let you know, the Barracks of Hope is actually in the county, not Daytona Beach.
Motion passed 6-0.
Motion passes 6-0.
I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and thank you, Dana McCool, for putting this on the presentation for me. Thank you.
Two of my wives are better also.
I'd like to thank you guys for everything you do and for the support of our veterans. City Manager, you have direction, so please, thank you. At this time, we're going to go ahead and move forward with the presentation from Senator Tom Wright. If I can please have the dais come to the floor. I also see our State Representative Webster Barnaby here. So I would, Mr. Whitcomb, is the presentation done together?
Sorry, Mayor?
Yes. Both of them are presenting at the same time, correct?
Yes.
So let's welcome Senator Tom Wright and Representative Webster Barnaby, please.
Plus 25,000.
By the way, Bob said
I just want to make sure I was coming to the right place.
I know which one is right, but I don't think I can.
There it goes.
So this is our next check.
We'll work on this next year.
But we'll take both checks.
So I just want to say a lot of work went in by staff. Kimberly, Georgia, where is Georgia? She should be up here. Georgia, can you please come up here? You helped us get this money, so. A lot of this is for our stormwater and some other improvements, but staff really worked their tail to get a lot of this money. And I know our residents right now are suffering from a lot of these water issues that we're going through, but your commission is believe it or not, we're trying to get some of this stuff fixed. So I'm going to give the mic to Representative Barnaby and then to Senator Wright.
Can you just identify Georgia, who she is?
Georgia, can you please raise your hand? She is our lobbyist between us and the state. If you can please raise your hand, Georgia. And the other lady that's up here, that's Kimberly Castro. She does the grant writing, and she's the one that kind of fights on the phone with the other people.
All right.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a great honor for me to present to the city of Deltona this appropriations amount that was requested. We rounded up to $4 million because we believe that's what we'll eventually have for the city. And let me say thank you to all the veterans. It means so much to me, being the father of a veteran who was active duty. And we love you all. And to all those suffering from cancer, we're praying for you. We love you. And you're my heroes. We will beat cancer. All right? God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Barnaby. Thank you for the extra $500,000. You're a good man. You know, I like to make sure that everybody realizes that it takes two of us to make this happen. It takes partners in the House, partners in the Senate, and Barnaby and I work well together. And we with the strength of Georgia, who visits us too often. I mean, often. She, I'm just kidding her. We love her. We look forward to her being there. So I'm just teasing you. You know that. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Just keep bringing checks. But the money is going to a very good cause to improve your sewage waste treatment plants and also your waterworks. And these are things that the state wants to invest in to help the city of Deltona to have a brighter future. I know you're growing fast, and these are dollars that we'll probably have to match again and match again, as we're all experiencing a lot of great growth in the city of Florida, or city of Deltona. And yes, I want to thank you also on the bottom of my heart. I've been on the Halifax River Ministries board for about 12 years, and this is very important to us to take care of our homeless veterans. So this is going to mean a lot for a lot of good veterans that we love. We love our veterans. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be free, and if it wasn't for our law enforcement, we wouldn't continue to be free. So those are two of the biggest groups of people that are on the top of my chart. Yep. And if you hadn't noticed, Rico's really my dog. Ralph's just walking him for me, but that's really my German Shepherd. I love the Shepherd. So thank you all for having me here. Thank you, mayors, council. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. God bless you. Good work.
If you can please give them a big round of applause.
Mayor, the Veterans Group would like to come up and get a picture with the senator and the representative.
Absolutely. Please come up. Come here,
Come on, Commander.
You're good.
We're all brothers.
You're good.
Okay.
Everyone just said, hey, I'm going to let you be in the picture.
It is on already.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention just one more minute. I'm really proud to present to you someone who is going to be inducted into the Florida Veterans Hall of Fame. I put him in last year. It took me 2 years to get him in. November 14th, he will be 93 years old. Yep. His name is Joe Sosinski, Korean War veteran. God bless him. God bless you, Joe. Yes, sir.
Hey, it wasn't PTSD when you went to war. They call it shell shock. Like that.
Oh, perfect.
We'll see you tomorrow.
No.
Buck, I'll see you on the 20th. Yes.
Whatever works.
Did he wear your part?
As you go down the ramp, walking out of the building, you'll see a Buick.
We're right outdoor in a white SUV.
Yeah, I'm like almost a white colored Buick.
Okay, we'll find you.
We'll find you.
Keeps me going.
Stace?
All right. We'll see you. Are you guys going to the beach? End of October? I'm just going.
Anything we can do to help.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the trip out here.
No speeding. Keep it under.
You can drive to the age of the speed of your age.
No way. Looking forward to 93.
Right? That's what I thought. Either way, I think it's
We're gonna have quick chairs. I looked like it was packing up out there. I was like, holy cow.
All right. Even did some work. Y'all witnessed that, right?
I know, I was like, and this is our city manager.
As folks are exiting the chambers, I want to go ahead and do the presentation quarterly reports by the City Advisory Boards Committee. These are written reports. So, okay. So let's move forward. So as Ms. Kimberly Castro comes up, I'd like to give the time over to Interim City Manager Glenn Whitcomb.
Thank you, Mayor. Coming forward, we'll have Kimberly Castro to talk about FEMA's interagency recovery coordination programs. But I would like to also, if I may, would also like to say thanks to Kimberly. Also, we have numerous other staff that worked on these grants last year when the storms were going through. Phyllis Wallace spent endless hours, weekends, nights, holidays, you name it. Joe Walker, Dave Hamster from Pegasus, Layla. So there was quite a few people to make this come together. So as you said, staff works their rears off to get these things done. So it's a combination effort of teamwork of everybody. So I appreciate that, Kimberly. Go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Glenn, just really quick, Glenn, you forgot to mention
Yourself.
Yeah, thank you all.
There's no need to mention myself. I'm just here to guide the ship. These young ladies and gentlemen do all the work, and I appreciate it.
But you were doing it then.
What's going on with this crap tonight? All the technical stuff. Why is this? Well, I thought we upgraded the system.
Ms. Castro, and the mic is right next to you, so just switch it and turn it on how you want. Make sure the light is green, and then you're good to go when the presentation comes on.
Thank you.
Quite a few more.
Yeah, just a few. This green one?
There we go.
There you go.
Thank you, Ruben. Good evening. My name is Kimberly Castro. Thank you, Mayor Avila, Vice Mayor Bradford, Commissioners. I'm here this evening to introduce myself as the new project manager for the City of Deltona. I've been here now for 8 months, working with staff tirelessly, as our interim city manager indicated, on the interagency recovery coordination. So this evening, I would like to take you on a little journey as to how we get here as a city and the different benefits that the City of Deltona is set to receive as a result. Some of the federal partners that have been assisting us since the disaster recovery coordination took place after Hurricanes Ian and Nicole are as follows. The Department of Interior, the Environmental Protection Agency, also known as the EPA, our East Central Florida Regional Planning Council, as well as the National Park Service and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So what is an IRC, an Interagency Recovery Coordination? It's a series of groups from federal agencies that work alongside with the state to ensure that a coordinated recovery is to support the entire community's approach to what they view as revitalization. And in this process, they look to specifically identify the funding or technical assistance that a city needs based on what those needs are specifically. So through this process, we are going to develop how to assist the City of Deltona on their specific recovery plans. So today I would like to cover with you the 4 federal programs that we have lined up for the City of Deltona. The first being sponsored by the EPA, what is known as the Recovery and Resiliency Partnership Projects. I also have a series of flyers at the table in the front as an example of other cities, the City of Springfield that went through a similar project as such. The National Park Service is another program that we'll be going through. It's called the Rivers and Trails Conservation Assistance. It'll be working in tandem with R2P2. And then our EPA Underserved Community Partnership Program that is currently underway, also known as CUP. To allude at a final federal program that we are seeking assistance for the Economic Development Administration, also known as the EDA, to conduct a feasibility and economic impact study. So again, what is IRC? The overall, or mission I should say, is to conduct collaboration, communication, and coordination amongst all local, federal, state, and county partners to effectively and efficiently and equitably support the states, territories, tribal nations, and local governments to define and achieve their recovery conditions. So the first line of duty is to engage with those partnerships. So in February of this year, the Volusia County's Office of Emergency Management started to conduct what they referred to as the Interagency Recovery Coordination Exchange. It is at these workshops that Deltona was able to learn about these resources and the specific federal partnerships that we would be able to leverage as a result of the efforts after both disasters. So part of the phases of what occurs during that process is that initial assessment, where we engage in discussions and workshops to identify specifically what our city needed, and then to be able to assess those needs collectively amongst the region so that we could identify what programs we would in fact be able to apply for. These are some of the assessments that are conducted through that process, site visits where many of our staff members were engaged based on their experience and their respective responsibilities throughout those disasters to be able to support what those federal agencies' understanding of our efforts are. Just to give you a little background on how it actually works, so from the branch 5 here, you see Volusia County is part of one of the counties within branch 5. So Matil Harris was our initial IRC point of contact. She attended several of our site visits as well as our meetings throughout the initial process. On the left-hand side, you see recovery support functions, and what I wanted to point out on this slide is that there's a dedicated individual within FEMA's Region 4 office and 5 office that specifically support and manage these respective sections. So you see here where it says CA, that's community assistance, and their designated person from FEMA who would be our point of contact in that arena. For economic, it was Milton Cochran, who again, a gentleman that was here often throughout our various site visits as well as virtual meetings. On the health and social services side, Suzanne Everson, housing, Brandon, infrastructure, David Apple was one of our partners working with us closely, again, throughout those meetings. And then on the natural cultural resources, Michael Bannock is the point of contact. And here again, for the city of Deltona, any of these individuals are at our call to be able to assist us in this regard. When we talk about the inter-agency recovery coordination here, what you see is how from the branch 5 side, how that alludes back to the state, back to FEMA, and then goes back to the field office. So when we talk about that IRC, this is really the graphic that visually helps you understand the various coordinations that are going on, both again, on the local, state, and federal side. The reason why I added this particular slide was I wanted to give you a true understanding of what the recovery support functions are, again, based on categories and what the specific outcomes are for each of those support functions, or RSFs, excuse me. And on this slide here again, you see how the interagency coordination is constantly going back and forth from our local side to our federal side. So they're in constant communication trying to identify, again, per city, per county, what those needs are. So when we talk about leveraging our past successes, what you see in this graphic here on our right are some of the site visits that took place here right in the city of Deltona, where our federal partners and state partners were on site to discuss specifically certain key areas like El Cam Boulevard, Catalina Boulevard, and some of the areas that were severely impacted within the city. On the left, you see a picture within the Economic Development Administration. They had a workshop in Orlando shortly after the initial one here at Volusia County, where again, the city of Deltona was recognized for specific initiatives that we have within the EDA or economic development arena. So getting back to the mission statement, as a community assistance RSF, your job is to unify and coordinate the expertise and assistance of these programs across the government that allows you to aid your local and tribal governments so that as they're building their capabilities, there's an effective plan at place, as well as managing the recovery and to engage the whole community. That is very much a part of their initiatives moving through these programs. So the types of CA or community assistance are here indicated on the slide, and in the interest of time, I just want to point out that our team here has been focusing on that federal interagency coordination piece, collectively with FEMA and the other agencies that are mentioned, but I did want to point out that there are other areas that we can continue to take and leverage if our leadership here so seeks. So within the community assistance coordination, what you see here is when recovery needs are outside of the scope of FEMA's programs, that's where your interagency recovery coordination comes in. They can engage all of your 6 RSFs to potentially identify other technical assistance or resource options. This is an example of an area within Denham, Louisiana, that developed a recovery plan based on these sets of IRC coordination. So again, at your leisure, the link is here to be able to refer to that website if you so wish to see what exactly they were able to accomplish. So what is our path? Our path to recovery and resiliency looks very similar to this graphic. What we've done is we've identified 3 potential programs that have been approved by federal partners here. I mentioned R2P2, RTCA and CUP, that is our RSC. And our initiative is to come together as City Hall and the community to move forward with those plans and seek out collaboration, coordination, and communication amongst all partnerships to define what that recovery path will look like. So when we talk about recovery resiliency partnership projects, that's our first federal program up, again, sponsored by the EPA. In the photo here, again, you see the federal partners here within the city of Deltona speaking with our public works staff on site. So what are we going to do with R2P2? It is technical assistance that's going to support each of the city's vision for long-term economic recovery by developing design concepts and strategies that integrate recreation, stormwater management, community connectivity, and potentially a downtown development. The city will develop a draft project of list of things to consider for the support based on Deltona site tours and interagency coordination meetings as follows. So one of the areas that we identified within our preliminary discussions was the opportunity to reimagine Lakeshore, Thornby Park, and Green Springs Park being within a close proximity from one another, to conduct community outreach to design plans and create viable recreational activities within this space. Also looking at stormwater recreation park in that area. Other ways to attack our stormwater resiliency or reduce nuisances, flooding within this area. Also to restore Lakeshore's environmental ambience for all to enjoy. Additional areas of interest that were identified during these discussions was wastewater expansion options for water reuse, as well as solar options for city infrastructure. In a nutshell, what R2P2 will do is combine all of these 5 tools that you see here on the left. 1, to engage, 2, to assess, and 3, to act, which is the stage that we are at this moment. We will go through areas of funding and measure those outcomes as we go through the process of design and planning. And on this slide, this is examples of other cities that have had the opportunity to have R2P2 and some of the projects that have come out of those projects, like the Cedar Pier Resiliency Project for commercial district below, residential above surge. Here again, I included a link for the commission and the community to be able to seek further information on the program and how it works for a particular city. On the next slide, you'll see a more in-depth approach as they get to task 3 with the research and piloting. Here again, they're looking within your city to identify recreational economies and then outline what your project priorities and mission are. So once they capture the vision of the leadership, they proceed with public outreach and engagement to ensure that that vision is holistic for the community. In our federal program 2, also known as NPS RTCA, which stands again for National Park Service, or Rivers to Trails Conservation, this again is another no-cost federal program that will come in and work in tandem with R2P2. It will look to assist us with providing professional planning, design, and technical assistance to achieve conservation and outdoor recreation vision. We are looking to develop a SWOT analysis of these existing resources and the potential for recreational tourism, inventory our visitor and recreation facilities in the planning area, and also identify those local, county, state partnerships that are going to be key. We'll look to formulate ideas and a vision to capitalize on the existing resources and then develop a conceptual plan, which again will engage with community outreach as well as engagement. The idea is potentially to develop a Blue Ways guide for both city and county regional trail assets and potentially look at bridge strategies or other infrastructure type improvements to integrate into our long-term planning. Here again, there's a website link for anyone that would like to research more information on the program. Program number 3 is again sponsored by EPA. It is the College Underserved Community Partnership Program, also known as CUP. What they look to do is provide meaningful support to an underserved community that's seeking to address legacy environmental or economic impacts while building the next generation of leaders with an awareness and vision for meeting the needs of our community. It's led by a doctorate level professional who has a leading team of students at Clemson University. One of the areas that we are focusing on at this time specifically has to do with a gravity septic to sewer conversion system for what they refer to as the Justice 40 area here in Deltona. Here again, there is a link that's indicated to bring you to a climate change tool that indicates our area here in the city of Deltona. So some of the takeaways from this program will be the cost to connect to a centralized network, the potential for phasing and looking at alternate conversion options for advanced septic sewer systems. We know there's areas in Deltona that will never receive or reach a sewer line just because of where they are geographically. So we're looking at a way to create a phasing system of sorts or address those areas that would require advanced septic advanced septic systems versus sewers. Another area of opportunity is to identify those priority areas where the decentralized advanced wastewater treatment opportunities could be implemented to connect those home clusters on septic systems that experience repetitive flooding and degrade the water quality in the surrounding rivers, streams, and lakes. My last point on this slide is that here again, this assistance is being offered to us at no cost, and it will be in completion by December of 2023. My fourth and final program that I would like to cover today is the EDA's Economic Development Association's Disaster Supplemental Funding. The difference between this program and the other three is this one is an actual grant that we would have to apply for in order to receive the funding. And the the idea is to apply for this assistance for the purpose of conducting an economic development feasibility and impact study to support the two federal programs that we would be administering, which is the R2P2 as well as the NPS RTCA programs that were covered this evening. And when we talk about a feasibility and impact study, what we're looking to do is really align that ecological, environmental, and economic development, those community goals, assist with public engagement, and really examine the projects that will be identified within the R2P2 and the NPS RTCA initiatives. Funding will help communities devise and implement long-term economic recovery strategies to cover and become resilient to future disasters through a variety of construction and non-construction projects. Here again, I just wanted to go over what a comprehensive assessment looks like. It's basically a financial viability of a proposed project or investment, and it involves analyzing the costs, the potential benefits, the risks, and other relevant economic factors to determine if the project is financially sound and worth pursuing. The study helps stakeholders make informed decisions by evaluating whether the expected returns outweigh the expense and associated risks of that project. When we talk about the impact assessment, we're really looking at how the proposed action might influence various economic indicators such as employment, GDP, tax revenues, as you know, which are very important to the city. In closing, we believe that the city of Deltona is the perfect case study. The multiple trails within our city could become a terminus. What we identified was that Thornby Park is a 5-point connection in the trail system, which makes it a very, very important part of that system. In and about this available waterfront destination, offering the potential for an array of recreational activities, events, including but not limited to arts and craft stations, small shops, restaurants, concerts, small boat launching, and of course a spectacular sunrise and sunset view that our community so wishes to have. With a downtown Sanford just across the lake, we imagine a regional high-speed water taxi or ferry could be easily implemented to access other areas within Lake Monroe. So in closing, the implementation and combination of these disaster recovery programs has the potential to yield several positive outcomes for the city, which is improved infrastructure, resilience, and long-term sustainability. Those enhance economic diversification and growth through through innovative initiatives and opportunities to strengthen partnerships between our public and private entities. So what I'm asking of the dais this evening is the opportunity or potential to conduct a city commission and community outreach workshop to introduce these federal program initiatives in collaboration with those key stakeholders. Our timeline to kick off is about the mid-October, beginning of November. And what I seek to focus on at this point is to finalize the grant application and secure the funding for the fourth program that was mentioned here tonight, EDA Disaster Supplemental Funding. The other thing I wanted to mention was I just applied for a Resiliency Florida Planning Grant, and if it is approved, it will actually cover our watershed study in addition to a vulnerability assessment that's required now by Florida State. Another initiative I have been working on is a system called eCivics in order for the city of Deltona to be able to manage multi-million-dollar grants that we seek within our federal, state, and local governments. We will need a system to help us manage that funding in perpetuity. So the city staff is currently reviewing a grant management system to support long-term funding and planning initiatives to build our grant portfolio. We'd also like to review those options with you in a workshop. And And in closing, I'd just like to say I am committed to building a resilient community that thrives even in the face of challenges. I remain steadfast, and I believe these 4 federal programs will help bolster our community to rebound from disasters and provide a platform for sustainable economic growth and development. IRC is here to support Deltona, and the work that IRC does is focused on understanding the disaster impacts and identifying collaborative and creative solutions to support locally based community recovery and to engage the whole community. Thank you so much, and I just want to say one thing in closing. I've been reading this book called Leadership as a Practice, and there was one quote that I wanted to share with everybody in the room today, and the quote is, "Leadership as a practice is less about what one person thinks or does, and is more about what people may accomplish together." Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Castro. Thank you for that presentation. I'm going to go ahead and call Vice Mayor Bradford, then Commissioner Avila Vasquez, and Commissioner McCool.
I just want to say thank you very much for the presentation. Very well done. You know, in my own opinion, if you can go after the money, you go after it. You go get it, girl. That's why you were hired, was, to totally go after and get those funds. I mean, I don't know what consensus you need up here, but from what I'm looking at, you guys are doing an amazing job. Anything that you can do that can take the burden off of raising tax dollars and help our city grow, I'm all for it. So that's where I stand. Kudos, thank you. That's all I can say. Bring us the money. Now, match grant funds, you may not know this. I'm assuming we have enough match grant funds set aside. Do we know where we're at with that?
Some of the match funds that we have is stuff that we already have out there, and going forward, we would budget additional match funds. For example, the Fisher and Eastern Wastewater Plant, those 2 grants that we have received would be for designing permitting only, and then we'll keep going, back for more dollars each year as we move along.
Do we know what this will add to the funding? Is there any additional grant match funds? That's hard to say, grant match funds that we're going to need to be prepared for this year.
The main ones right now that we have, that they just did the presentation, Senator Wright and Representative Barnaby, those are the main ones right now as far as grants go. I think Kimberly's asking for, we'll be coming back to you with the 100, I think it's 158,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
What are we looking at?
That would be an 80-20 split of 150,000, so it would be in the realm of 20 to 30,000 for us to conduct the 4th program. So the first 3 federal programs are at no cost to the city of Deltona, other than the in-kind services that our staff provides during the meeting discussions and site visits. The 4th federal program is the only program that stands as an actual grant that we would need to write, and so I am requesting that the dais would be in agreement with the 75-25 or possibly 80-20. It's all based on the remainder of the funds that are in the account, so that particular grant has been open for several months, and our regional partners have been encouraging us to go ahead and go for it. So I thought it was appropriate to present the 3 federal programs that are in place and approved at this time, and the 4th being the ask as far as taking the time and the technical assistance to complete the grant application for consideration of our EDA feasibility study.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. That was a concern too, is grant match funds. So thank you.
Understood. There's also a grant funding attachment that was attached to the agenda tonight that gives you an overview, not of any of the funding that's associated with these 4 federal programs, and I'd like the opportunity in a workshop function to be able to allow you to understand that we we were able to secure over $15 million on the hazard mitigation grant program, which has to do with Elkham Boulevard's roadway elevation, Catalina roadway elevation, in addition to about 7 homes that are seeking elevation, in addition to 1 home that is looking to get acquired, demolished, and rebuilt. So we've done a tremendous amount of work with our local partners through the Local Mitigation Strategy Committee, which is comprised of Volusia County's Office of Emergency Management, our 16 cities, the hospital, and the airport. We come together when these allocations are given to us, and we have to prioritize our projects under mitigation and agree that whoever sits in priority 1 versus priority 10, that's the sequence in which they should be funded. So there was a tremendous amount of time and effort, and I'd like to publicly thank our local partners. The Volusia County Office of Emergency Management, EOC, is also known as the Public Safety Department. They've been instrumental in allowing our city to secure over 16% of those funds from both Hurricane Ian as well as Nicole.
Now, the raising of Elkham, when are you looking at, because I know we got the grant for that. What's our ETA on that?
Our ETA right now is about, until a notice to proceed, I want to say relatively about 6 to 12 months. And the reason being is the hazard mitigation grant application is currently in queue. And since we stand 4th on the LMS list for Hurricane Ian, right now the Florida Department of Emergency Management, also known as FDEM, they received over 500 applications for Hurricane Ian. They were originally anticipating about 1,800, so they believe that the schedule for their mitigation team to go ahead and start approving those applications is going to be more steady fast than anticipated. So at this time, that application was submitted in July, and we're hoping to receive some level of notice within the end of this year, early next year. We are in contact with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, FDEP. They're the ones that will be managing the amount of the state allocation that was given to us for both Fisher and Eastern, as well as Elkham Boulevard. So we're working with the different teams and departments within those respective agencies to ensure that the funds that have been allocated to us will in no way be impacted by the HMGP funding that we received. So we're trying to ensure that if we're coupling any funds from different agencies from the state versus a federal program like HMGP, that we can use both in tandem.
Perfect. May I make a suggestion, City Manager? We're putting sidewalks, if they're not done yet, in this same exact area. I really don't think we should be spending any more money over there if we're going to be raising it. Like, we literally, I think within the last, is that project done?
It is done.
Yes, it's done, and the thing about that is the pedestrian safety along there. So yes, that portion is complete.
Are we
yes,
doing
ma'am.
anything else,
No,
or is that it?
Not in that area, no.
Okay. That's all. Thank you very much. Obviously, you're doing your job, which we all of you guys do. We greatly appreciate it.
And we're going to go to Commissioner Villa-Vasquez, but before we go, I just want to make a quick mention, Commissioner. I think us being in number 4 out of 500 applicants, this just shows how much staff has been working, because in the past, Deltona would have not been in the top 5. No. So, Commissioner Villa-Vasquez.
Thank you. Thank you for that great presentation. So what you're looking for us today is to approve for the studies to start taking place in all these areas? Is that what you're looking for?
I'm looking for consensus on being able to apply for the 4th federal program, which is the EDA Disaster Supplemental Grant. With your permission, I will receive some technical assistance from the local the local LEPC, our local Emergency Planning Council. Their disaster recovery coordinator has agreed to help support that application, and since we've been in touch with all of the higher-ups in those agencies working on the other federal programs. They've encouraged us wholeheartedly to apply for that grant with the expectation of it being able to be the overarching program for the two, which is again, the R2P2 and the NPS. So that economic feasibility and impact study will basically mirror and look at everything that we're doing in those two projects to ensure that what we design, plan, is to the economic benefit of the community and the county.
So the grant is to pay for the first two projects that you mentioned? I'm just trying to understand.
No problem, and I apologize. That's why I presented the first three, to try to clarify that those three were at no cost to the city of Deltona. And so the fourth one would be an 80-20 split, so it'd be about $20,000 to $30,000 for us to administer an economic feasibility and impact study for the two first programs.
Right, so that's, okay. Because I know that we had a vision of what we wanted to see in the city between the commissioners and the community. And I think that Jerry had that on file.
Yes.
We spent a lot of time putting that together. My other question, and maybe this is not the time to ask this question, but the septic conversion options and stuff, we went through that as well. So I'm just wondering if this is same thing that we did before, or this.
This will be different in two ways. I know the plans that you're referring to were actually part of some of our initial site visits where we were able to show our federal partners what the city of Deltona had wanted to do in that space at a particular time. And so what we look to do in that program is really innovate whatever those ideas are, get a true representation of what the leadership vision is for that site, and then complement it with the community outreach and engagement piece to ensure that whatever we design and plan for that area is a true reflection of the community.
Okay, because we also did a vision for Lakeshore Drive. So I'm just I'm listening to you explain, what you're looking to do, but I'm sitting here and saying, we did that already. But
It will be, what I would like to say is that none of the visions that you had before, it won't fall away. That'll be our starting point, is to really look at all of the areas and innovation that were assumed for that area and try to bring it to the next scale and really incorporate all of the partners that would be necessary to bring it to true life. For example, I just attended the ECHO meeting here in Volusia County last week, and we won't be ready to apply for that application per se for this project this year round, but ultimately after this program will take about 6 months for their design architects, their engineers to come out here and really help us envision what it looks like. And then as a result, we will get all of the design and planning schematics for that space, so they give us the roadmap to actually go out and get the grants and fund it. So it's almost like hiring a consultant, going through the whole process, and then having the design and plans that you need to be able to go after grants. And the other great part of it is that when and if we apply for ECHO funding, all of the services that they've rendered to us are actually, even though they're at no cost to the city of Deltona, we'll actually be able to recoup that at a 25% on our application, even though it's not services that we actually paid for. So there's a lot of benefits going on in terms of no cost and really trying to utilize all of these federal agencies, all of their minds, all of their expertise, and have them come to us and say, this is what we need, this is what we see, this is what we have seen, and try to bring it all together so that we can envision what it should be, what it ought to be. Right?
I get it. I'm just hoping that it looks like we're starting with step one again. I just want to make sure that we complete it, that it gets completed and we see the results.
Absolutely. I remember you saying that a resident came to you and was praising you over the grass that was growing on one side of that area. And I can't wait to see that resident at our first workshop, because there's going to be more than grass there.
Exactly.
I promise you that.
And we've been through this, I'm here 5 years.
Understood.
5 years we're going through the same project, and now we're back to square one.
You can hold me fully accountable for it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Commissioner McCool, and then Commissioner Burbank.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for a wonderful job. I see you all the time. I know how many footsteps you put in between departments. So thank you very much for that. And I want to reach out to our community and deeper within this program, understand what this means, because we need resident support on this. When we're talking about mitigating any further taxes, or whatever you want to call it, assessments that we need. I need for as many people that showed up for that to speak out against it, to show up for this. Because when we talk about when we talked about here in the federal program number 3, we talk about the Justice 40 area. The Justice 40 area has been designed, and this is about environmental justice, right? When it comes to clean water, when it comes to wastewater, when it comes to what we're doing in Deltona. And this is so named, I don't know who all are familiar with this, but it's so named the Justice 40 program, Justice for the Environment. 40% of all federal funding to go to clean up and to address all of the federal investments to clean up communities, because there has been an admission by the federal government that we've done a horrible job of being good stewards of our local municipalities. With that being said, the residents need to show up for this. If you're out here sitting in the audience right now, it is your responsibility, your civic duty, to talk to 5 other people about this, because when we start talking about administering grants, when we're talking about an underserved community, this is what we're talking about, trying to get these federal tax dollars to take care of the things that we're struggling with in the area of flooding. In my area alone, since the stormwater assessment fee was not approved, there is a $25 million project sitting right in my district where people are being consistently flooded because of the high groundwater that we have. And we forget that we have septic tanks in all of these flooded areas, that we need to start working on flood mitigation and an implementation of doing better with those areas. So we're talking about, this is amazing, when we're talking about a doctorate professor, Clemson University bioengineering undergraduate team to design a gravity-specific septic sewer conversion system. These are things that we need to be talking about as we move forward, not only in implementing and cleaning up what we have, but as we move forward in our future of building in Deltona. I say this as we move forward, talking about progressive materials that we need to make it more environmentally sensitive, because the impervious surfaces in Deltona is overwhelming and shocking. And we, part of the flooding, I'm going to say, is because Mother Nature, right, is doing what she does. But the other part is we need to develop better in Deltona. So I just want I want residents coming out for this. If you do not want your capital improvement money, if you do not want your tax money spent in this manner, come out here and help support these visioning sessions, help support the city staff, help support your commission as we move forward to reach for these federal grants. We need participation. So I am appealing to your sense of civic duty when we start doing that. And I hope that Kimberly's office gets flooded with calls from our constituency regarding this. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Burbank.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. I'm glad you said flooded with calls. Kim, this may be a good time, and this is for your consumption, Mr. Interim City Manager. You're going to need some help. And we have staff openings in the planning department. She used the word planning a lot and planners a lot. But she could use some help. That was the first thing I wrote down. Then something about, I sat on the Planning and Zoning Board for decades. I was staff here for a while. I've been through many visioning sessions also. I've seen many studies come and go. And I don't want to start at square one either. I see it as wasted tax dollars. But there are things in there we can use, and there are things in there we will use, because some things are still the same. Where Commissioner McCool lives has always been like that. The groundwater has always been near the surface for decades. And we've always known that, and that's in there somewhere. It's got to be. But at the same time, we all have to recognize that I'm new here, and a lot of us are. And we got here after COVID and after Ian. It is a different world in many ways, so our visioning and our thoughts have to be directed elsewhere. Great job. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Is there anybody that wants to speak? Go ahead.
Terry Ellis, please.
Thank you, Kim.
Yeah, absolutely. Great job, Kim. So I just wanted to ask, and this is probably more directed to Kim, but my huge concern is the problem that we have about participation here in Deltona from the public. It has gotten better, but it kind of goes in waves depending on what the issue is. So my question is, who is responsible for making sure that the public comes out and participates? No, we're not. No. Kim, could you, I'm asking that, there's a very specific reason I'm asking for this, because if this is the reason I'm asking is because I am asking that we have a plan for our public information office, not rely on social media and telling 5 people. The city needs to have a plan for communicating this very well. This is our Christmas list. This is a Christmas list. Maritza, when you talk about you don't want to do things over again, Lord, I hear you so much. But in what I'm hearing is we have the opportunity to have federal agencies that are doing feasibility studies for free.
Yep.
This is our Christmas list, and we need to do everything humanly possible in this city to make sure that we don't have people, they're going to do another study, it's going to sit on a shelf somewhere. We need to do everything possible for people to understand that this is something that we have never had before, and we will probably not have again at this level in the future. This is our Christmas list. This is our Super Bowl of the resources that are coming to us. So I'm asking for the city to have a plan. Do something different, please. Please get it out to people. And Kim, maybe you can answer that other question about what happens.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis. What we'll do is we'll have the city manager, when you have time with staff, to put something together with the PIO so we can get prepared for that.
Yes,
please.
Mayor, that's the plan.
Yes, it's very important. Do we have anybody else that wants to speak?
Elizabeth Chavez, Deltona. So these are the workshops, right? I know you can probably answer me back right now, but that workshop that she's asking for, that's a lot of the stuff that we keep just asking for, right? And then what about sending it out? I don't know if you guys stopped that, but it used to be just like you did for the stormwater and garbage raise of taxes. You sent that in the water bill, I believe it was, or can you put that in a newsletter that goes out to everybody in their water bill? In the marquees, you can put up the workshops. And I know that several people have different pages, and we just like to share information, but you can always put it on the Nitty Gritty True Talk Ministries page, and I can always share it on my personal page, and I do that already. So I'm touching more than 5 people, you know what I mean? But if you put it into the water bill, I think maybe that's a larger people knowing about it as well.
Thank you, Ms. Chavez. So the ask is for consensus from the dais to allow Ms. Castro to apply for 4 grants, of which 3 are completely free, and the 4th is at a 20% to a 25% cost. So can we please do, City Clerk, can we please do a verbal consensus? Just go down the list, please.
Commissioner Villa-Vasquez?
Yes.
Commissioner Burbank?
I'm the old big Kim.
Commissioner Caldwell?
I'm a yes.
Commissioner Poole?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bradford?
Yes.
Mayor Villa?
Yes. Motion passes 6-0. Okay, at this time, we're going to go into ordinance and public hearings. Thank you, Kim and staff, for all the hard work all you guys are doing, so thank you. We're going to go into Section 6A, which is public hearing ordinance number 12-2023 to amend the Chapter 14 Animals of Code of Ordinances at the first reading and to schedule second reading for November 6th. And we will turn it over to Marcia.
This is ordinance number 12-2023. We talked about it at a previous meeting. This is an attempt to deal with a particular issue that we've had. It follows state statute, and I would just encourage everyone to understand that the terms of this ordinance have to be objective. They can't be subjective, and that's why it follows state ordinance. Beyond that, you know, this is my draft. If you want, I can read the ordinance. This is the first reading. So do you want me to read the ordinance?
Please, and then I'll call on Vice Mayor ready on the
Okay,
board, so.
great. Ordinance number 12-2023, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Deltona, Florida, creating a new section 14-7B in Chapter 14, Animals, Part 2, Code of Ordinance relating to cruelty to animals in accordance with Florida statutes 828.13, specifically the confinement of animals without sufficient food, water, and exercise that involves a change of air, as amended, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Bradford, you're on the board.
Did law enforcement confirm this is more than enough to do what needed to be addressed in the event of, let's say, Barak? 2, can we add temperature and increment weather? And then it was also recommended possibly if somebody is saying, oh, this is a guard dog, that's why my dog's outside, they need to be licensed with a permit. So not just Barak, but I see it a lot where these animals, they may not even be in a small cage, but they're left outside in the backyard, running around, same thing, no water, no shelter, nothing, okay? I surely would not want to be running around outside with a heat index over 100. It's just not even humane to do this. I don't even understand why people own a dog or animal if they're going to do that. And does this, specifically, this just says animals, it's not specific to dogs, right? So this would, in fact, go toward other animals as well, because it's very vague on animals. Okay, can you add temperature, increment weather, and guard dog permit licensing with the city?
If you want me to enforce it.
Sorry?
You know, I've heard this temperature business, you know, like if it's 85 degrees, you know, how would we enforce it? A code officer would have to trespass, check a temperature in a particular area with some kind of instrument of doing that, and then determine, you know, that it was warm or whatever. When we did the animal ordinance a couple years ago, and of course, code is redoing the whole ordinance now, but this was an attempt to try and meet some of the concerns that people have. We can't trespass onto people's property unless we have a reason, and to look at the quality of the water that's in the animal's dish, or to try and determine the temperature if they are in the shade. I mean, these are the kinds of issues that we've had with regards to that. So I can write any kind of ordinance you want, or that the public wants. And if that makes everyone feel better, we can do that. But can I enforce it? I can't promise you that. So if the whole idea is to try and just put stuff in there to make people feel good about that particular situation, we can require testing of their water. We can talk about a particular temperature. We can do all of these things, but these are still, yes, they're animals, and I'm an animal lover also. I have 4 animals, but we can't trespass on people's property to take temperature in a particular area. Because if you say it can't exceed 85 degrees, the dog is on a patio, there's a large tree and there's shade, they have water, they have food. Do I know if the water is totally clean? The only way we could determine that is if we took water samples and tested them. If you see food, if you see that, I mean, it gets to the point that yes, we can do all of those things, and I will write them if that's what you all want.
If I can just interject for a minute, I don't mean to cut you off, Attorney, and I don't mean to take away some of your time.
No, give me a minute to calm down, so go ahead.
But here's a problem I have. I'm okay with people's property rights, but if a neighbor calls, that's how you monitor that. I mean, it's like regular code enforcement. It's not that difficult to check the temperature. I mean, I pull up my iPhone wherever I'm at and it tells me what temperature it is. We're not asking for water samples, but if you see that the water dish is green, there's obviously an issue. So it's not like we're trying to get to the nitty-gritty things of, and that was not plugged, but that we're trying to make sure that some of these animals are actually safe. I'm going to agree with the Vice Mayor and some of the suggestions that were made. You know, we have Fitness Fridays, and sometimes if it rains, we can't go out and walk. I mean, we could, but we don't. If it's over 100 degrees, I'll go out and do it, but there's some of the workers that come out with me that won't do it because it's too hot, right? So it's not like we're trying to micromanage somebody's pets. I mean, I have dogs. I just had to put one down that I've had for 14 years. I let her go outside. Within 5 minutes, she was right back in the house because it's too hot. So I don't think that what we're asking for is something that's not enforceable. And I approached you with some people that had some concerns with, you know, farm animals and stuff like that. But I think, and it's not appeasing one, because I'm the first one to tell you that if we appease one group, then we have to appease the other group. It has nothing to do with that. And lastly, and I mean this with the utmost respect, Marcia, we really gotta kind of think about it when we respond to what we're gonna say, because we don't need the back and forth to start between the dais and the city attorney's office. So go ahead, Commissioner, Vice Mayor Bradford.
Okay, so when I add temperature and increment weather, if there's a hurricane outside, the animals should be sheltered. Okay, that's increment weather. I didn't mention water in a water bowl. Okay, I said temperature and increment weather. And, you know, I think just like the mayor said, it doesn't take rocket science. My temperature here isn't going to be different than that temperature in that corner. Maybe if there's shade, but if it's 100 degrees outside, that temperature is not going to take it down 15, 20 degrees. It's still going to be hot as Hades. I didn't cuss. Inclement weather, there's no reason an animal is left outside. Inclement weather, hurricane, tropical storms, that's what we're talking. We don't want the animals out there. Cold, yeah. I mean, I'm just asking for a little compassion. How does law enforcement do it when they try to gauge noise coming, where they have a noise meter? So law enforcement, when they're called to noise, they were given a noise meter to determine the noise level. I'm not asking them to trespass. I don't care if you stay in the front. Okay, you know, it's quite obvious if a dog is running around the backyard nonstop. I mean, we've already had a few dogs that even had heat strokes because they were left out there. You know, I get we can't trespass. I get code enforcement can't go on there, but we have to have something, and something is better than nothing. And what we have right now is BS. What we were given right now is BS, and I'm not happy with it. If somebody, and we also have individuals like to claim a lot, oh, I'm gonna leave my dog outside because it's a guard dog. Well, if you're gonna leave your guard dog outside, we need to have it registered. Just like if somebody says, oh, I'm bringing my animal inside because he's a service dog. Well, where's your certification? Okay, so we're going to call through that BS as well. So that's why we're saying we want to have something that says, are they going to like it? Am I implementing another fee for residents? Heck yeah. If that means that person has to come in here and register that dog and show proof that it's a guard dog, then that's good, because you know what? They need to know that too. If they have a guard dog on presence, law enforcement needs to know that there could be something in that backyard that could be dangerous for them well. That's just how I see it. So I'm not asking for us to trespass. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just saying, you know, let's figure out what we can do, just like we do on a noise ordinance. Let's enforce temperature, inclement weather, guard dog. I mean, other cities do it. We can do it too.
Thank you. Commissioner Burbank and then Commissioner McCool.
Wow. This is passionate. I'm passionate about this also. I've been rooted in the same place for a long time. I'm afraid to dig a hole in the backyard. I've had so many four-legged friends. That said, I have to, in many ways, agree with our city attorney. Legislative thing, enforce it. I think it's something else entirely to say, define it. Who defines the phrase sufficiency, or who defines the phrase wholesome? We've got a country where we can't tell our parent, make our adult grown-up parents define a healthy diet, and we can't define this. We can write. I'll sign off on it. I'll say yeah, but it's we couldn't. It wouldn't stand up in court. Thank you very much,
Commissioner McCool.
We can write tickets over a blade of grass. We can write tickets for a dog not being taken care of. We can enforce that. So I am about that too. I have animals, multiple animals, and if not us advocating, who is going to advocate? The enforcement part of this, we can enforce this. We can enforce this. I hope to heavens that we're going to have very few opportunities to enforce this. I hope that we write this so that people, this is preventative, right? That this is preventative and not punitive. But if it turns punitive, I want it to be punitive when it comes to animal welfare. I want it to be punitive. I would like that also, because I've gone and I've had heartbreaking discussions with people about, these are neighbors having to report somebody leaving an animal out during a storm or during cold weather. I know there are very few cold days here, but I loathe and detest that. So I think that inclement weather, when we define that, we know it when we see it. I think the reasonable person does. When we talk about clean water, that's minimal. Clean water is minimal. So I want us to write the more severe language. I am for that, because here's what it does. It sets up parameters and safety guards here that people understand. When this is written succinctly, there is no room for them to try to step outside the law, because if they do step outside, they're purposely breaking an ordinance when it comes to animal welfare. And we have to remember that I understand working dogs. I understand working dogs, what they do, what they're bred for. But I would guarantee you that 95% of pet ownership is about having a domesticated animal as a pet. And people can't be getting pets just for biological curiosity. These are dedicated family members, and we need to protect them. If not us, who? So I would like to see the more severe language written in the ordinance. And I will tell you, I will guarantee there's enough people sitting up this dais and enough people out in the community. When it comes to enforcement, I'm pretty sure that we will get that right also. So first, we have to set the parameters, and I want to make sure that we are setting those exacting parameters when it comes to the mention of inclement weather concerning heat, cold, or inclement weather. And again, as I said, that, clean water, if you write it, at least you have something to judge upon. You know it when you see it. It's like, well, never mind. but you know it when you see it, you know, and that's all I want to say. I want us to establish the parameters. I want this to be educational, and I want people to understand that Deltona is not messing around when it comes to the health of our you know, most vulnerable population, which is pets. So I'm with the Vice Mayor on this, and I would like to see the more severe language.
Mr. Mayor, I will rewrite the ordinance and give you all what you've requested.
Ms. Mayor?
No. No, because that means we've got to wait 2 to 4 more weeks and then 4 more weeks. So
what we could do is have somebody make a motion
Can we
to pass it,
add
adding what we
temperature,
request.
inclement weather, and garden. So I have a question. We currently require individuals to come in and register their pets. What at? What is it? What is it actually? I see it all the time. It says animal registration. What is that for? Pet license. Pet license, right? What's that pet license for?
To make sure they get the rabies shots.
Proof of rabies vaccination.
Can somebody please be specific on what is that registration for?
Okay, everyone, hold on, stop. Mr. Wickham, do we have an exact definition of what that's for?
I don't have an exact definition for you, but I will get you one. But I would assume it's to track the animals, or, you know, and whether they have rabies, et cetera.
And breeds.
Rabies shots, not rabies.
We're tracking that the animals have, yes. Listen, we could have a long talk on chickens. We can have a talk on animals, okay? So if we're already saying, and this is just a question, part of the requirements is individuals are supposed to come in, register their pets, show that they have rabies, show that they have shots. So legally, we're already supposed to be showing registration of an animal. So if we have registration of an animal on site, or you don't have registration of an animal on site, I'd like to see, what are they signing? What are people doing when they come in? What are they signing? What are they saying they're doing with that animal? How are they taking care of that animal? And do we have a right as animal control, since they do come in and register that pet? Do we have any means whatsoever, since they're saying, hey, I've got an animal, I'm registering it, that we can come in and say, okay, I want to check on this animal? So I'd like to see what's part of that registration process for that animal, because if we already have something, I'd like to know, what do we have a right at that point when they say, okay, I have this dog, here's his tag, here's this rabies, here's that. We get a complaint, and I don't know if law enforcement can do this or not, but we get a complaint that says, hey, we're going to 1249, we need to go look at this animal. You already should have information on the animal, right? So we should be tying these together. I mean, we're doing the registration already. I just want to see where we're at with the registration, and what does that give code, law enforcement? Are they able at that point, by signing that consent with that pet, to allow them to come on and verify that that pet is safe? So I would like to make a motion, because I'd like to see this through, because if not, we're going to be waiting 2 to 6 more weeks. But then I would love to see what that whole registration is and what it goes with. What are they doing? I don't know if there's a fee or not a fee. What does it authorize staff to do? So our next meeting is, well, we're running into the holidays. I move to on first reading ordinance number 12-23 with the addition of a temperature, inclement weather, and guard dog permit added to the code of ordinance, and to schedule a second and final reading for November 6, 2023.
We got a motion by Vice Mayor Bradford.
Second.
And a second by Commissioner McCool. Do we have any public comment?
Sir, okay. Jesse Simmons. Then just carry on.
And let me just say, I know everyone's excited, but if we can all hold to applause, just that way everybody has enough time to speak. So, Mr. Simmons, please.
Good evening. I'm Jesse Simmons. And I had a lot to say about this topic. I've had a lot to say with the mayor. I've said a lot in these meetings. You guys left me speechless right now. So thank you. Thank you for speaking up. Thank you for standing your ground against the ridiculousness of what was placed on you tonight. The copy and paste of an ordinance that already existed was trying to get passed through here until you stood up and said, no, that's not gonna cut it. You're saving me from having to stand up here and say, that's not gonna cut it, because you, with the power, are saying, that's not gonna cut it. The ordinance that was written up and presented last week was written up by somebody who said water is water. I don't let my dogs drink out of mud puddles. I don't want dogs drinking out of mud puddles. Potable water, it's simple. It's not complicated. Copying and pasting an ordinance that exists is simple. It's not that simple with this problem. 85 degrees can be monitored. We monitored it while we were standing on the sidewalk at Barack's house when it was 117 heat index by taking out our iPhones that was presented earlier. It's not hard. The hard part, I agree with you, the hard part is enforcement. The hard part is enforcement because animal control doesn't enforce the laws. They do not. Whether their hands are tied or whether they're not allowed to, I don't know that answer yet. But I'm into that too, because I don't understand it. The ordinance that was in place already in the city of Deltona has been violated, has been broken, if you read it by the words that are given. My other problem with words, we've talked about verbiage in laws, is words like sufficient and adequate. Those are left up to interpretation, and that's a shame. If you go to the tethering law has 18 different sections. There's not one of those sections that has the word adequate or sufficient in it. There's no room for debate on what is wrong with tethering your dog, on what you are allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. That's how it should be. There shouldn't be room for people to make their own personal opinion on what is considered clean water or what is considered sufficient food. If we're sitting in the same room and we're eating some pizza and you say, Jesse, you've had a sufficient amount of pizza, I'm going to tell you, I haven't had a sufficient amount of pizza. That's my judgment. Exercise the same way. You can exercise differently than I exercise. You can't have laws that state that because you're going to have people that are going to abuse that. It can't just be words that are someone can interpret their own way. It has to be words that can be enforced, and you can't enforce sufficient. You can't enforce adequate. So write the law saying you cannot have your dog outside in 85-degree weather. You might be able to. I don't understand the complication of it. But I do appreciate the council tonight and the mayor for standing up and saying what you said and getting this right. You guys, I applaud you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons.
Just carrying.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak. So first off, I want to share that in our current ordinances, I don't know if everybody received, I sent it to the attorney, I sent it to all you guys emailed. I printed out the 39 pages of our current ordinances. I underlined it, everything that accordingly, what's to deal with Barack's, situation, but it's not about Barack. It's about all the animals that are overlooked, that animal control goes out to. I spoke with an animal control officer for 30 minutes, and he told me something needs to change within the ordinances, even the current ordinances, and I brought up specific things about adequate. If you guys, the last meeting I watched live, nobody understood what adequate was. Well, our definition, our current ordinances state adequate care, adequate food means, adequate shelter means, adequate water means. And it seemed like nobody had even heard, what it was. I'm not an an attorney, but I was able to pull it up and highlight everything out of it. And then I was able to call animal control and ask them about it. And they're like, oh, well, and I'm like, seriously, who's going to enforce it? In our current ordinances, it does say that the city manager is to, I guess, be over, animal control, code enforcement. I know he's interim, but, perhaps the future city manager knows that and knows that they're over that if that's, part of what they're supposed to be doing. I totally I applaud everything that was said by the mayor, commissioners, everything tonight. What I actually brought tonight was on the same subject. I think that the city needs to consider a comprehensive animal care ordinance similar to the Palm Beach County ordinances, current ordinances. So it would fall under Florida statute is legal. It could just basically be looked over, drafted perhaps. Like Deltona, Palm Beach County includes urban, suburban, and rural settings. There's 8 pages. I only printed out guard dog section, which is 8 pages long, and also animal care manner of keeping. But the way that they do guard dogs, which Barack has been told that's what he is. That's, he's made to live outside because he's a guard dog. And it says that guards must have a permit, and 8 pages of how obtaining a guard dog permit. And not only with that, there's specifications. They must be registered on file. Also, at least every 6 months, each guard dog shall be examined by a veterinary who is licensed in Florida to determine whether the dog is healthy and physically fit to perform as a service dog. The owner shall obtain the certification form from the division, shall provide it to the examining veterinary for completion, and upon completion shall provide it to the division. It also says that guard dog enclosure shall be a minimum of 100 square feet for one dog if one dog is present. The guard dog enclosure shall be made of chain link or similar material with a solid roof that's over the enclosure, not a yellow mesh tarp thing that the sun shines directly through later in the day, and also rain. The whole enclosure is wet. And there's so many other things. 8 pages, like I said, on guard dogs. Now in the general care, animal manner of keeping, it has temperature. Over 85, a dog is not to be kept outside. Under 40, a dog is not to be kept outside. I absolutely believe, I came from Texas. Texas has very similar laws that, don't permit those types of things. I don't think that just because an animal is an outside dog or a guard dog, that makes it agreeable that it's okay for them to be outside in hurricanes, tornadoes, hot or cold weather.
Thank you.
Thank you. Terry Ellis?
Okay, hi everybody. Talk about having to have another conversation, because I know that we've talked about this for a while. Thank you very much, Charlene, wherever. I think she's in Tennessee right now. But first of all, I want to say the answer of I'll write whatever you want me to write is so unacceptable. That's not accomplishing anything to the conversation. I realize that the city attorney is only one person, and I'm very busy. So maybe in the future we could ask, do we have some interns who could do some research, who might have been able to find the information on Palm Beach County, instead of the resident having to do it and underline it and present it. And then nobody, I'm guessing, read it, responded, prepared for tonight's conversation. I mean, here we go, a resident wanting to help. Nobody's taking advantage of that resident wanting to help. How many times have I done documents, sent them to the city, nothing happened? People want to help. Take advantage of it. And it's really sad because, you all know I'm from Ohio. 3 weeks ago when I was in Ohio, I got involved with a dog who had been left in a home for 4 days, no food, no water, was not outside, and was just sitting in the window whining. And I'm sitting out in the audience thinking, oh my gosh, I come back to Deltona and now we got this guard dog. So just please, yes, we can write. The summary is we can write ordinances to protect these animals. So certainly, let's take the time to do that. And thank you very much. And thank you for the residents who have protected this dog.
Elizabeth Chavez?
Elizabeth Deltona, actually, that's exactly what I was going to say. How can you see if water and food is sufficient for a dog inside a home? How can you measure the heat index inside a home? So somebody may not have air conditioning or even water, that their water could be shut down. They're going through a hard time now. They can't pay their water, and they might not have clean water, running water. So how can you measure that? A dog could be inside a house, and it can be over 85 degrees already, even with, your air conditioner at 88, and that would be violating what you're trying to say in those words. I think the verbiage needs to be very specific, and take the time. Please, everything else that we always come up here to talk to you guys is because you don't take the time to do a workshop, bring in the residents, get their intake on it, and so what if it takes 2 more weeks? This is what you're there for. This is what you're here for. So to make it right, then, change the wording, be careful with how you word it, go by the state statutes. And, because somebody else down the road, it's like kicking the can down the road, and then you just want to get out of a meeting, or you just want to do it because it's going to save you time. I don't understand that concept. If you could take more time and then change the verbiage and just do it all at once. And you're saying that it's for November the 6th, the next time that you're going to put this out there. That should be enough time, right?
Kathy Gallagher?
Hi, somebody left glasses. Okay. I don't know if you need them. I wasn't going to speak about this, but just to get the correct wording, the enforceability of this going in an expedient manner. One thing that she read, one sentence, struck me as odd, or could be a sticking point, when she said that they require food, water, and shelter. So if they have one but not the others, is that enforceable? Maybe the word needs to be changed to or, just to make it right. I don't know, but it just bothered me that it was and for all of those items. And I just, I've got my own dog waiting for me at home, so have a good night.
Thank you.
Albert Bryan, please.
Ms. Chavez, I think you left your glasses at the podium.
Thank you.
But wow, what an odd conversation this has been. I can remember sitting in this room a couple of years ago, maybe it was more than a couple of years ago, going over the ordinance we have now. We literally went over this ordinance a few years ago, had it completely rewritten. And now these nice citizens over here are telling me that it's not being enforced properly because of certain wording. We went over that wording 5, 10, 15 times a few years ago. I remember Charlene sitting back here smacking me because I said something that was a little odd, but what I said is, can't they get it right? And she was a proponent for this ordinance. So we took this ordinance from another city and rewrote it for Deltona. Matter of fact, if I remember right, maybe Anita can correct me if I get it wrong, but we took it from 2 or maybe 3 cities actually, and actually put it together to fit what we needed in Deltona. If we have a problem with definition in this thing, is it really that difficult? Oh, I guess it is. To get a law opinion on this? Or do we actually need to take and go out and hire a lawyer that specializes in dog therapy or dog ordinances or whatever you want to call this? Because, y'all right now have got all this emotion built up into this thing where I don't have faith in whether y'all can actually make a legitimate vote without emotion. because you can't put emotion into an ordinance like this. When you do, you ruin the ordinance. It's happened over and over and over in this city. Take the emotion out of it. Base the ordinance on what needs to be done and what needs to be corrected. It may not be a sentence this long it needs to be corrected. It may be a word. Take the time to do it. Take the time to do it. Don't rush to this. Because if you rush to this, you'll get it wrong. We took, almost 6 months to a year to do this last time, if I remember right. Do you think that's too long to save an animal? Or let's put this on a different perspective. If this is your daughter, do you want a law that is going to kill your daughter because of one word that's wrong? No, I don't. And that's how I think about my animals. Now, I'm going to refer something that came up to me recently because I did travel north. I saw an elk on the side of the road. This elk had a collar around his neck. He didn't have what's called on his head. He had a collar. You know what I said? Had a name on it. His name on it. You know why? Because it was a family member. They treated that elk like a family member. I don't want this ordinance to take and punish people for taking their dogs out on a walk when it's 85 degrees outside. To me, that would be stupid. Now, I will say, maybe some of these humans need to take their shoes off and walk barefoot along next to their dog on the asphalt. Because that asphalt burns your feet, it's going to burn your dog's feet as well. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, that closes public comments.
Thank you. So we actually have another vice mayor's on the board, but we have a motion and we have a second already. Can we please read the ordinance and then we're going to go vote, and then Vice Mayor, if you still want to talk after that, we can.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say I wrote the prior ordinance that everybody's been referring to and the section on tethering, but I'll read the ordinance now. Ordinance number 12-2023, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Deltona, Florida, creating a new section 14-7B in Chapter 14, Animals, Part 2, Code of Ordinances relating to cruelty to animals in accordance with Florida Statutes 828.13, specifically the confinement of animals without sufficient food, water, and exercise that involves a change of air, as amended, and providing for an effective date.
And she's going to add
And can you just for clarification, you're going to add
temperature,
increment weather, temperature, and guard dog permit.
I will go through a video of this with all your comments and make sure that all of them are included.
Commissioner Burbank? Oh. No, Commissioner Villa-Vasquez. The motion passes 6-0. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
All right, so we actually got a copy of the licensing requirements, which is basically just saying within 6 weeks and older, you need to, register your cat and dog. With this license, if individuals, let's say, I'm trying to think of how to put this, let's say code enforcement got a phone call, I'm just going to use Barack because that's what we're talking about, got a call to go and check on the well-being of this dog, and it is determined that dog is not registered. What I do not see anything in here that states what's the consequences of not having your animal registered. So to me, there's a reason it's not probably enforced anywhere. I do see people in line all the time getting this permit, but I guess my question is, what's the consequences of this? What's the point of it? So if we can get clarification that. And yes, Mr. Bryant, we spent so much time on that tethering. We got many cities to come in. And do we need to do it again? Absolutely. Absolutely, to make sure we do it right. What is the rush? The rush is if we don't do something now, that means come November 6th, whenever the next meeting is, then we're going through again a reading, and then we're probably going to wait till December. January. That's what the rush is. At least we have something on the books right now, and then we can actually put in the works a detailed workshop that's going to address the proper wording. And what I would like to see is it incorporated with the permitting process that we are requiring and what is consequences of having this license, because to me, it's a POS. Nothing can be done with this. So I don't know if it's possible, and I don't know, I want to make sure we work with law enforcement on this, because if I would be willing as a pet owner to say, I'm going to bring my Jada in here, I'm going to get her license, and you know what? If I have to sign something that says I authorize you to come check their shelter, that's holding me accountable for what my ownership of my dog. Then they have full right to go check it based on the signature. So I don't know if that's something we could do, but that's something that I would love for us to look into, because we already have a desk, we have a clerk, we have a dedicated person, we have a fee schedule. So I'm going to say we have 3/4 of this there, but we don't have the consequences to it. And I think those consequences are what's going to allow us to enter onto that property by obtaining that, that authorization signature.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. So I'd love to have workshop set up. It may be January, but at least
This is separate from that.
do it separate, but at least let's get something going now so that we know this is rolling. But I think we need to have a detailed, I mean, if you can do it by the next meeting, because I'm assuming this, the final reading, we can say, hey, make changes to this and do that. We can say we accept it as is, or we can say we don't want it, you know, make a change on it. So at the next reading, you can make these changes and submit it to us. And if it's something that we approve on, we can say yay or nay, or we can say, hey, let's approve and go to the next reading. Make sense? Thank you very much for taking care of that.
Thank you. Before the Free Brock group leaves, I just want to take a quick minute to thank Jesse for, he came and met with me a couple times, and he has been very adamant about no violence. And that is extremely important, because while we don't want a dog to get hurt, the person that owns a dog also has a child, and there was a lot of concern. So I want to thank your group for keeping it peaceful, and that's the way you do it, because the moment you cross that line, you become just as worse as they do.
Yep.
So thank you for that. So thank you for your group. This time we're going to go ahead, and there is no old business. Go ahead, Vice. I keep saying Vice. Here.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner Villalobos.
I think we're missing a little information, because I think we do have something in the books about, you know, if your dog is caught with no tag, it's required to show that they have their immunizations, that they have registration. And isn't there a section where it says
Yes.
that you get a fine?
And if they
penalty?
don't comply, it actually goes through the code enforcement and goes to the special magistrate. So there is that
So
part
I
of
think
it.
that's what we're missing here.
She didn't
All right.
give it to me.
Oh, okay.
So if we can get this.
Thank you.
At that meeting, so we can have that. And then also, I hate to do it, but I would love to have added on the whole animal ordinance instead of just this section, so we can kind of look at it.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move, excuse me, we're going to go ahead and move forward. We have no old business, no new business. At this time, we're going to listen to comments on consent items.
Brian, please.
Okay, I think y'all need to pull and actually take a time to read number 8. because it states we have a budget $475,000 for a ambulance. But then it says that Fraser 2023 International Ambulance for $300,000 or $399,400. It says that's a savings of $135,600. Now, you know, I know it's been a while since I've been in school, but who did that freaking math? Really? Now, when I actually, pulled up my iPhone and I actually used a calculator on my iPhone, the actual savings is $75,600. So I don't know who's actually doing the math here, or why, but it leads me to believe with all the things we've seen happen over the last couple of years in this, city, makes you wonder whether we're trying to pull the wool over somebody's eye and say, oh, we saved $136,000. That should go in my budget. Well, I'm sorry, I still actually haven't seen a finished budget for this coming year. Oh, that's right, we're actually in this budget year now, and I still haven't seen a finished budget. This is on the proposed budget. Now, let's go back a little bit. For the last 3 years, we've bought a fire engine and a budget every freaking year. Or should I go back and show you all the budgets where we've had that money in there? Now, I understand that it takes between, let me make sure this is right too, because I've heard 3 different stories so far, anywhere between 24 and 40 months to get one of these things. And yet, in this little thing for this consent item, it says 18 months. So who's lying to who here is what I really want to know. Because I got firemen on my page telling me 40 months and $500,000. And yet on this consent agenda, I've got $136,000 savings, and yet it's actually only $75,600 savings. So who's actually doing the math here? Oh, my finance director is not here tonight, is she? Which, when I asked for the funds, what did I get? Oh, that's right, I didn't get the funds, did I? No, I didn't. Actually, what I got were, oh, that's right, this is what they voted on way back in 2011. And this is what we voted on just a couple years ago. So that's where the money is. Well, just because you voted on a resolution doesn't mean that damn money's still there. We're stating something out of a proposed budget. We don't even see, yet to this day, a real budget. There's a problem here, folks. If your fire department actually put this on the agenda, that man sitting back there needs to go back to math class.
Mayor, that closes public comments.
The consent agenda contains items that have been determined to be routine and non-controversial. If discussion is desired by any member of the City Commission, that item must be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Is there anybody wanting to pull any of the items from the consent agenda?
Here's Paul A, so they can go over it.
So Vice Mayor wants to pull Section A.
Let it go over what he's saying.
Is there, I'd like to entertain a motion for Section B.
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Avila Vasquez, second by Vice Mayor Bradford. Can we please vote on the? We're voting just on B. Motion passes 6-0. This time I'd like to call Fire Chief Snyder to the podium.
Hi, he's right. I can't add. I made a mistake. The budget is correct. It is not $135,000 worth of savings. It's not any savings at all, actually. It's the budget was $475,000 to buy the ambulance. The ambulance itself costs $399,000 something. The extra $75,000 is going towards equipment for stretchers and other things to outfit the ambulance as we go forward. It was a mistake.
And you know, we all
guess
make mistakes, right? And I
calls
know
my
we got Vice
integrity
Mayor
into
on the
question.
board. Is there any way that you can make a correction to this, Fire Chief, and bring it back to the commission? Would you be okay with that? Just because it shows that we're being transparent about it. And again, you admitted you made a simple mistake. We all make mistakes. Vice Mayor Bradford?
Well, and that's, the reason I had you come up was I actually caught where you said the cost of the engine was XYZ, but then you've got a list in here of all the stuff you're adding on to the engine for supplies and that. So that totals the $475. I don't have a problem with it. I appreciate you coming up here, Albert. Thank you. You're always our eyes and ears sometimes. But I did catch.
Delay it, we'll still get that bid.
So I actually wanted to make a motion to, I wanted you to be able to clarify that, yes, the engine's less, but we're actually using the leftover money to pay for the supplies and everything that's going to be needed on it.
Yeah, and as far as the time frame goes,
Right.
it's generally 40 months now for a fire engine. This is an ambulance. The ambulances are going for about 24 months now, generally, anywhere from 18 to 24 months. If you just, with several of the companies that are out there, we were able to about 3 months, as soon as the budget workshop was done and it was going to pass, we gave the company a letter of intent saying that we were going to buy the ambulance as long as it was approved through the commission, through the entire rest of the process. And so we got in line at that point, and that's how we're going to be able to get it within about 6 months of the process.
And initially, it may not be a savings right now, but had we bought the engine for $475,000 and then we did all these add-ons, it would have been added on too.
And
you know, so that I get what you were saying, but I think it was just the whole, maybe the way it was written. So, I mean, if you're okay, I want to make a motion
just to be transparent with the 136, we started out with a different company. The company was called Braun, and those ambulances were a lot more expensive. One came back in a year, it came back a lot more expensive, so we started looking for other companies, and that's where we found the Fraser company. So the 136 was the difference between the Braun and the Fraser, and it got incorrectly put into the budget line item there, and that's where that number came from. But it is incorrect.
That's okay. Albert will forgive us. Albert will forgive you.
Just send us a memo or something, so it's on the record. I have no issue with that.
Yeah, I moved to approve purchase of transport unit with the approved budgeted funds based on the actual numbers.
Second.
There's a motion by Vice Mayor Bradford, a second by Commissioner McCool. All right, please vote. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. At this time, we're going to go to City Commission special reports and requests. We'll start with, and I'll go down the line, Commissioner Burbank.
Good to go, Mayor. Thank you.
I always forget. Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So we had I was going to say Commissioner. Ms. Barbara Gertman come and speak to us about domestic violence. I went to the event that they held in Daytona Beach, and I found it very informative. A lot of information was shared. And during our contact meetings that we come to the city, here in the city of Deltona, and I know Commissioner McCool, you're always there with me, we noticed that our domestic violence rates in every meeting is higher and higher and higher, just here in the city of Deltona. So I would like to have a consensus that we can work with Barbara Gertman to have this domestic violence seminar that she would like at the center. I think it's 2.5 hours or 3 hours the most. I know that we're reaching out to the Sheriff's Department, who verbally has agreed to work with her. and we're reaching out to other sponsors as well. But in the meantime, we'd like to get this going for the month of October, if possible. So that's my first request.
So could we do a simple raise of hands for those that are for the consensus? Please raise your hand. You have full consensus, Commissioner Avila-Vasquez?
Thank you. And then the second request that I want to make is something that Mr. Albert Bryan brought up. I know that we had, the Sheriff's Department had an event here not too long ago covering
human trafficking and all that stuff. And maybe we can speak to him because he came up with this Q code that you can get the information of contacts for different things. So maybe we can ask him to work with this and come up with something similar to what Albert was talking about, because this is what that is. And it's outside. There's other information outside from that event that was held here about a month ago. And if residents want him to bring it back, we'd be more than happy to ask him to bring it back. It was very informative. We had the Children and Family Board. We had our trafficking from the Sheriff's Department. We had a lot of information, but very little participants from the residents. I think we had one parent who brought her 3 teenagers to that event, but we'd be more than happy to ask if he can bring it back. That's it, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you. So do you want consensus for that as well?
For this?
Yes.
I don't know. We need it. We just have to ask him.
I don't think we need.
No, I don't think
Just in case, so we're
Well,
clear
yeah,
on this?
okay.
A simple raise of a hand?
I was going to bring that up as well, but I do think it's important to have the numbers because individuals who are human trafficked,
they don't have a camera.
They don't have a camera, they don't have a scanner, they don't have a cell phone.
So again, a simple raise of a hand if you're supporting it. You have full consensus. Commissioner Dana McCool, do you have any commission special reports or requests?
Yes, I do. I was talking with city manager today and Ms. Wallace, and what we will be doing is putting together, or they're going to be putting together an informational session for residents regarding flooding and some of the steps that they're taking. I know that I've had that Councilman David Santiago and I were out yesterday in the community looking at some of the flooded areas. And, one thing I want to say is that the swales are full, they're doing their job. The ditches beside the road, the swales, when they're full, they're doing their job. So don't panic about that. Water over the road, water in driveways. Where we're at right now is trying to mitigate flooding inside houses. That's where we're at right now. So they're going to do a presentation for the community. I hope that the community comes out as much as I've seen written about flooding in areas, because there's a lot of misinformation out there regarding what the city is doing to mitigate flooding, what the weirs are, how the water, the outfall is, and people need to understand this. I want our residents to understand what is really going on, to disassociate fact from fiction, because there's a lot of false information out there, and let me clear it up by just putting a call into the city. But we want to do a day where residents can come out and have their concerns listened to and voiced and answered. So that'll be happening. So that is my request, right? I also want to go over the TPO report here. We had our TPO meeting on Wednesday of last week, and we are going to be coming to a close as far as tabulation for the TPO is going to be bringing in all of Flagler County, but Deltona still has the highest weighted vote when it comes to matters sitting on the TPO, and That matters because of the collaborative effort that we have with the cities on projects and how we vote on things. There's going to be a reapportionment of funds in which Deltona qualifies for a good portion because of us being the largest population, and that's how that's decided as population. So we are working on things. I will tell you that Vice Mayor Bill O'Connor from Orange City and Mayor Chazet from DeBerry and myself have been on the FDOT regarding our entrances and exits. Those are being addressed right now. FDOT has sent information to us for some landscaping grants, which staff is looking into at this time. They're also looking into, because it's a wetland, at least they're going to go explore what's going on at exit 111 A and B, because as it's an entryway to our city, it needs to reflect our welcoming nature here in Deltona. So they're going to be looking at that also to discern what might be more welcoming to the wonderful city of Deltona. So that's on the agenda also. If you have any questions or if you would like to attend a TPO meeting, let me know. I would love to have you there. It's a wonderful process. You get to learn about where your tax dollars are being spent as far as it comes to transportation and infrastructure. So come out, and if you have any questions, give me a call or email me at dmccool@deltonafl.gov. What would I talk about wig out? Is that in my comments? Yeah.
That's your person.
Okay, that's it. Thank you, Mr.
Commissioner Caldwell. Nothing. Vice Mayor Bradford.
You know it. All right, so you covered a couple of the items I was looking at. Another one is the mayor last week, or 2 weeks ago, I don't remember when we were here last. I loved having the school come in here and sing for us. Oh my God, that was awesome. So it made me go, what am I doing this for? Why am I doing this? We have so many awesome elementary, middle, high schools. Why don't we let them take turns coming in here and doing it? I mean, we probably have enough at one school a month to come in here, whether it's their choir, whether it's their band. I'm willing to hand my part of my invocation off to the schools and let them hit it. 100%. I love it.
I love that.
So I don't know what we have to do that, but I was just like, we don't no longer sing it, so we definitely don't want him singing it. So I'm saying, can we see if the schools that are interested and get them in here? Because I think those kids were like ecstatic to come in here and do it. And like, how many schools do we have? How many elementary? How many? I mean, I would love to see that. I think it's okay if, we do the pledge, we can do that. Or even, I have no problem even handing the pledge over to our veterans in the community. But I know we've done it this way for long, but I think that also encourages community support.
Yep.
So I would love to see us hand off that portion to our local schools.
Can we do a simple hand of consensus? Raise your hand. Okay, 5-1. So.
And then,
She said,
Yes, I didn't see you. I'm sorry.
Just for a school kid.
Yeah.
6-0. Correction, please, Madam City Clerk, who has taught me that I can call for a correction.
You can't call
6-0.
6-0?
I can, no.
Okay. Another thing which we've gotten a few emails on, and we don't know it, so I just want residents to know this portion, okay? We get a lot of, oh my God, why didn't you stop the meeting when there was technical difficulties? We have no idea. I have no knowledge whatsoever that DTV is having any technical difficulties, and I don't know how we can do it, but they're saying that other cities, when there are technical difficulties, they'll say, hold up a minute, let us get back online, we're having technical difficulties. I don't know if that's even possible, but I guess the county does it as well. So I just want to bring up that anybody who thinks like we have no knowledge of it. So I don't know if you guys want them to come out and say, hey, we're having a problem right now. What do you guys want to do? Because I've gotten several emails on it.
I can tell you the day that my system went down, we had to tape to another day. There was no way that it was going to come back. I can tell you that somebody texted me tonight, said that the DTV was going pixelated and sent me a video of it. I went on the DTV, I went on a Granitic site, they work fine. So it's going to be
So it was
dependent on
doing what?
where you are. It was like pixelated. It was like you were in slow motion because it was you that were up there and you were like, you know. But so it depends on what area, who serves you. There's a lot of variables.
Right. So, there's the big thing is it's not that we're trying to make it so you can't watch it. We just don't know when it's not happening. So, and a lot of these things we are time sensitive. We need to have a meeting on. Miss George from Lake Baton, I believe this has been brought up many times, if I'm not mistaken. And is it not, and this is just what I've been told, so I just want clarification on this, is that not a private subdivision road
Yes, it is.
and area that we can't touch, correct? Can you please clarify? Because when people come up here like, oh, you're not taking care of this, it makes us look bad, but I don't even think we're allowed because they're their own.
Yes, and I'm going to ask Ms. Wallace to stand up to the podium real quick.
Don't get me started on Lake Baton.
It just makes us look bad because it's not that we don't want to. You are given your own funds to do that with your subdivision.
Phyllis Wallace, Public Works. Lake Baton is a private subdivision. What that means, that is dedicated to the HOA for their responsibility is stormwater, roads, sidewalks, everything that would be in what we call the public right-of-way. The utilities, water, sewer, reclaimed, and the lift station are dedicated to the public, but everything else is private within that subdivision.
And we do not touch that? Okay. So let me ask you, so that's basically for anybody who's listening, oh my God, why aren't they helping them? We don't actually have a right to even do that.
That's correct.
So that's why it has not been done. I don't know if, I'm guessing somebody, which I know, promised them previously who had very little understanding of how it works, but we can't. So I don't want to be rude, but I'm not proportionate to say, go take care of that private subdivision, because if you're going to do that, please come over to these other subdivisions across the street and start taking care of them. And that's what's going to happen. We start taking care of one, we're going to be having to take care of every other one of them that's responsible. So it's not that we're trying to be rude, it's just the way it is. So, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. But while you're bringing it up, Loblolly, we've got a home right there that seems to think that cutting through their grass and making a driveway to cut over to Loblolly is a new road. They're basically, their home right there, they're basically got, it was stopped before where I believe the subdivision, which they didn't even have right to, put up a railing fence so that they couldn't be cutting through, but they just kind of moved new path, and now they're driving through there again, getting on Loblolly, I guess so they can avoid howling. I don't know. But it's right at Loblolly. You'll see, like if you're on Loblolly at Howland sitting there, if you look to the right, you'll see where they did their makeshift, they cut through the lawn already. So, yeah, thank you. That's all I got for this portion.
Okay, so I have a couple of things. So I'd like to see if the commission would join me to do like a special day for Habitat for Humanity to help them with some of their homes that they're building. They sent me an email, and obviously I can't commit you guys because I need your permission to go out there and do some labor.
Yes.
So if you guys don't feel like you want to, it's fine, but it would be nice if I can get,
We said yes.
yes,
Yes. We've got a contractor right there.
yes, to come out and help with.
I said we got a contractor right there. We got this. Yes.
Okay.
Do they really want us to have a
Yeah.
camera in our hand?
I guess I'll make sure to wear my heart out that day. All right, so that was that one. October 13th, I was invited along with Mayor Buddy Dyer of Orlando, and they're hoping we can light up Deltona City Hall, just a couple with purple, in reference to domestic violence, in support of not having domestic violence. That's so complicated to say, but
Light it up.
just light up Deltona. So
Light it up.
can we do a
Purple.
simple?
Light it up.
Yes.
We okay?
Light it up.
Light it up.
Light up the center too. Light it
All
up.
right.
Light it up.
So you have your, and then if Mr. Whitcomb, if we can get some pictures, because they're going to pay for it to go on papers or whatever it is that they're going to do. October 13th, I'm going to be presenting the proclamation that we just presented at Orlando, because they're doing a big event, and they want to start seeing, we're the first city in Volusia County that's going to be doing that, by the way.
So it's light up.
So it's going to be called Light Up Deltona Purple, is what it's going to be called.
So can the residents get in on that?
Absolutely, everyone. If
So is it going to be a night thing? A night event?
Yes.
No rush. 2 weeks.
And that is all I have for right now. I do have a comment towards the end, but we'll start with city attorney comments, city manager comments.
Yes, Mayor. We had a request from the city of Port Orange on the behalf of the Volusia League of Cities Board of Directors to join in with a resolution for the fuel tank farm that's being proposed in unincorporated Ormond Beach. So I just needed to get a consensus if you all are agreeing to that, would agree to that?
Yes. Against the fuel farm in Ormond Beach that wants to come in and pull Volusia County's most vulnerable population of our children and the sports people.
So the most important part is that the residents and their government is opposed to it.
Correct.
So, because we have to be careful, because if they would have been for it, I would have not. We can't force another city.
They're against.
But they're against it, so I just wanted to clarify so people know.
Yes, to be clear, it's against, it's a resolution, stating that the city of Deltona stands with them.
Yeah, as long as they don't come over here.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
So I mean, we'll do a simple raise of a hand, but I'm in favor of showing support to them being against it.
Yes.
Okay.
Are united?
And that's pretty much all I have for right now.
All right, we'll go down the line with city commissioner comments. We'll start with Commissioner Burbank.
I'm good to go, man. Thank you.
Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
Yes. So we spoke about domestic violence. I mentioned about the event that I went to last week. It was awesome. A lot of information shared. Hopefully we'll do the same here. And a shout out to Discovery Elementary.
Yes.
We were here the other day with 150 plus students. And I totally forgot what it was like to run around little kids. I thought I was one of the teachers. Sit down, don't do that. Get up, pick that up. But we had such a wonderful time. They had a really great time. And the most precious moment for me was when this little boy just came over and just, out of nowhere, just gave me a hug. So yeah, it was really, really nice. And Dana McCool. What a wonderful event Friday with the wig out. I had so much fun. I want to let you know that I bought 12 wigs to try every color, every style, every length until I finally, actually my husband decided on one. Sandy decided on one. I had a wig fashion show up here the other day. But it was awesome, and hopefully you'll bring it back again next year. How much did Chitwood make?
$6,000?
$5,500 from Sheriff Chitwood he raised for taking his shirt off.
Okay, but it was wonderful. Next year, I hope everybody puts it on their calendar and attend because it was really, really great. And then our fire department guys really showed it off. They really went out of their way to support this event, and our sheriff's department. We tried to get our interim city manager, Glenn, to model for us, but he wouldn't. I just want to remind everyone that October 12th is our CompStat meeting, but it will not be here. It'll be at the center, all right? They're having some health sessions here, health programs here. It's at the center off Howland Boulevard. And October 11th, and I mentioned this because we won't be here until this takes place. On October 11th, the Sons and Daughters of Italy where are they?
Doyle Road.
On Doyle Road. They're going to kill me. Celebrating is Italian Heritage Month, October 11, Italian dinner at 4:30. So if anybody is welcome to go. I want to bring up one concern that I have. So I drive by and I see so many cars parked on the right-of-way. The right-of-way is that piece of grass that is at the bottom of your driveway and at the street. And we have, I know in my neighborhood, we had to call Public Works because cars are parking around there. And there's so much rain that's coming down, it's sinking the dirt on the right-of-way, is corroding the street to the point that it's actually little by little getting bigger and bigger. This is what happens when you park on the right-of-way. We have so many pipes and equipment under that right-of-way, and this is the reason why we're so important for us to let people know, please try not to park on the right-of-way for a long time if you don't need to, especially now that the soil is wet. That is it. Thank you so much, Mayor.
You're very welcome, Commissioner Dana McCool.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. I want to thank every single person that was involved with Wig Out. It was an amazing, amazing success, and we brought it together in 2.5 months, which was mind-blowing to me. I would like to thank all of the everyone that helped out with this. I want to thank the Chief and Sheriff Chitwood for allowing this to happen, because when I came to them and said, I'd like to borrow some of your people to model on a calendar, I know that there was a lot of skepticism. But with that being said, when all was said and done, it was so community-oriented. There were wives involved. There was a wife and husband, firefighter with his wife on the calendar. It was about family. It was about community. It was in good spirits. It was done in good taste. And so I want to thank both of those agencies and South Daytona Fire Department, because Miss Jacqueline was on there. We had a couple of female firefighters on there, which was very empowering. That was important. And more, this is going to be a revenue generator for local Volusia-centric charities. That's what we did this for. And we raised, Troy's working on the finances right now. We're getting checks in, but we raised a good bit of money that evening. I know that it is over $35,000 that we raised. And we're doing the whole expenses. There will be a financial report available when everything is closed out. We're getting money in and sending money out still, right? But the financial report is completely transparent, be available so that you'll see that your dollars did go to good cause. I want to thank all of the sponsors. And our firefighters and sheriff's department, thank you guys for being such good sports. We had something on that calendar for everybody, whether we have all of our people in great shape, but there's something for everyone, and it was just important. If you would like to order your calendar, go to VolusiaGunsAndHoses.com. You need that calendar. Trust me when I say this. So does your aunt, and so does your grandmother. So order one for all and help support this mission. It will be your mom and your daughter. Yeah. This calendar will be sold all year, and this will be an annual event. We've already scheduled it for September 27th next year. We will be holding it on the fourth Friday of every year. Just so people, for complete transparency, understand this year, all of the donations were made in the name of Deltona Strong, because they are a registered nonprofit, right? And we chose them to handle the finances so that it could go through proper channels. But we are currently working on getting WIG out its own nonprofit status. And every year it will go to Volusia-centric cancer charities, right, that leave our pockets and go into the community. Sheriff Chitwood will receive a portion of the calendar sales, and so will the Firefighter Foundation. They will receive a portion also. So to all of the sponsors, to everyone that showed up, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I got announced that evening, as I did before, that my cancer is currently looks like that I am entering into remission because my numbers are headed that way. And so thank you very much. And on a personal note, it's been a long 9 months of having cancer, and I will still, it's not the cancer that makes you sick, it is the chemo. It's the killing of the cancer that makes you sick. And for 9 months, you have supported me. You've been a fantastic constituency. Every time I entered City Hall, I knew that I was supported. Every time I went out in the community, I knew that I was supported. And it's very, very, each and every one of you, I want to thank you for being so supportive during this and while I finish treatment, because there are some days it was really hard to hold my head up and do my job, but you believed in me and you hit me, and all of you have been fantastic to me, so thank you very much. And I will tell you this, that Maritza and I haven't always been great friends.
Get out.
We have not. But I want to thank you for the special love that you've given me. You've opened my eyes about how people can really work together and put aside differences for a common goal, and you have held my hand and my head. I want to give you a special thank you for taking such good care of me. You've been amazing to me when nobody's been around and have picked me up a couple of times, so I want to thank you for that, Maritza. If you and I can get along, I believe that there is hope for the rest of Deltona, so thank you, everybody, for that. I appreciate it. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Colwell. Vice Mayor Bradford.
Easy peasy. So it's back. Woo! Ready for the party. Halloween Spooktacular, October 28th, 5:10 at Dewey O Booster. I cannot wait to see what kind of gross, nasty, yucky stuff you're going to make them eat this year.
Judges, I need 3.
She needs 3 judges, okay. So bring the kids, awesome event, great family night. You guys always do an exceptional job, can't wait. Bring your costumes, plus you get to see all of us in crazy costumes as well. So October 28th, Dewey O Booster, Foster, 5 to 10. Veterans Day, Saturday, November 11th. Over at the Veterans Memorial Park. It starts at 11 a.m. They'll be having a service as well. And I want to remind people, as Commissioner Villa-Vasquez brought up, it's almost kind of comical, I hate to say it, but when I was driving on Deltona Boulevard the other day, I saw where somebody tried to be slick and drive around a car on the right side into the right-of-way. And because the road was nice and soggy, this is what they did. They had to call a tow truck, so that 20-second wait to make that left-hand turn and not drive into the right-of-way probably cost them a few hours. So just note it. Oh yeah, and a lot of money, because when I say that car sunk, that car sunk. It was one of those cars that loves to race down the road, so I didn't have no hard feeling for them. So that's why I said when I had to laugh. So just keep your eyes open for that. Right now, we do have a very high water table. It is not taking much for the puddles and the pooling. If the road is not passable, please, if you're not 100% certain, don't, because all it's going to do is call our team out to rescue you, and not to mention the damage and wear and tear. So try to stay on the road, stay out of the bad puddles if possible. 9 times out of 10, these guys, our Public Works Department, they're pretty much on it. I mean, I made a couple calls and she's already like, Vice Mayor, we're already on it. So thank you guys. I know it's a real crazy season. You guys are doing an amazing job, but again, people be a little bit open on driving on the grass. One, it's not your lawn to drive on. And two, you might end up like that car in the bottom of a puddle. So that's all I got.
All right, I just got 3 things. 4. They're short. One of them is I am going to ask the commission, so I'm not going to single anyone out, but this commission as a whole, the city attorney, the city manager, if we're going to leave early, please let either the vice mayor or myself know so we're not caught by surprise, especially if we need to vote for something. Give us that respect. For example, if I need to use the restroom or if I need to get water, I owe the vice mayor so she's prepared. She doesn't have to tell me, she tells me anyways. All I'm asking is respect for the residents, because I get emails or somebody will send me a messenger, what happened to so-and-so. I can't answer that if I don't know what's going on. Emergencies happen, they happen all the time. I get it. Let's just show that constant respect. Same for workshops. We need to show up to them, whether we like them here or down there, wherever. We have to show up because that's where we come together as a commission to work out whatever issues we might have to do better for our residents. That's number 1. Number 2, your mayor has actually been nominated for the 2023 Florida Latino Leaders, and they're going to be presenting me with an award on October 8th in Kissimmee. I'll have that information out there so you guys enjoy it. I think it's awesome. It brings attention to our city. Number 3, thank you. I've been working really hard, thank you, Dana, on a sister city agreement. I have asked Sandy to hand it to all of you tomorrow. I'm not going to be here, but just so you guys look at it. I'm not asking for consensus. I'm not asking for anything. If you guys don't like it, next time we have a meeting, we can kill it. If you do like it, we can probably have a workshop, and at that time, I'll ask for a consensus. But as a commission as a whole, I want to give you guys all the respect of letting you guys see, and as a group, we can move forward or not. So that's the last thing I want to bring up, and this is very important. Your mayor is probably not the most perfect person in the world. I know I'm not. I make a lot of mistakes. Daily, I make a lot of mistakes. I'm the most imperfect person that I know. That being said, whenever a resident brings something to my attention, it is my duty and my obligation to report it. I know a lot of people have asked me about this report that I did with the state attorney's office, and I know some of the commissioners, because they've done it very verbally and very public in front of city staff, are really ticked off at me. Well, tell me next time is not an option, because that is a sunshine violation. There is no tell me. I expect everybody on this dais, if they hear similar stuff I heard, I expect every single one of you on this dais to report me. No questions asked. You can't come to me and ask me if this is true, because you're risking yourself a sunshine violation. And it wasn't one resident, it was multiple residents. And multiple of these residents are afraid to come out and publicly say something over retaliation. So I am glad that the investigation took place, showed that no one did anything nefarious. And I commend everybody for trying to keep everything on the up and up. But if a resident comes to me and it seems like there's something there, I am going to continue to report it, whether people get upset at me or not.
Bravo, Mayor.
I just want to say that. So, meeting's adjourned. Everyone have a good night.